Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley. Heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
All right, all right. Here we go again. What's up, everybody? What's good? Getting another one in back again. You saw the title. Going to be doing a one-on-one with SKC. The show is titled The History of Black Man Bashing. What inspired me to do this one is because SKC wrote a really good article a little while back. It was initially a response to Aaron G. Fountain responding to the Black Manosphere, and SKC gave some good historical context breaking down everything that has been said about Black men over the course of the years, over the course of decades, and he chronicled he just chronicled it just perfectly. It was excellent. But I decided that we should do a show on that. It's there in writing, but a lot of you Negroes don't read. But so yeah, we're going to talk about that in more details. So yeah, we'll be joined by SKC in approximately 8 minutes. He said 9:20. That's what we went over with in email. I actually have not emailed him the link to the show, so let me do that to make sure that he can actually come on the show. So I'm going to email SKC the link to the show right now, but he should be on the way. He said he'll be here by 9:20, but we're going to be going over that, going to be breaking down the history. I heard a conversation that also prompted me to do this because there are a lot of people that think all of this talk that goes on in these Black YouTube streets is that a lot of the things that the Black men are saying, a lot of things that the Black manosphere is saying, it's just out of the blue. These guys just came out of the blue one day, just woke up, kicked down the door, and said, "Listen up, bitches." Like, no, that's not exactly what happened. It's been an ongoing thing that's been ongoing for a while. And I think that gets lost. That gets lost in the shuffle here a lot of the time. So I did want to do a show on that, wanted to get that started, and who better than SKC, who already put out that history in writing. But as usual, as I always do, shout out to the Early Bird Squad. My man, Mr. Bowtie, in here bright and early. Looks like it started after no-fault divorce. Thank you for your comment, and thank you for being the first commenter. I like the people that make it in bright and early before the show even started 4 minutes in. Already got a bunch of comments. I like to shout out all of the people that do that. That's the Early Bird Squad, my man. Hurricane Henry, The Perfect Storm, D. Anderson, Brenda W., Excalibur, Bounty Thug, and Hurricane Henry, The Perfect Storm came through with a super chat bright and early. Thank you very much for that. Says, I have to check this one out later. Peace, bros. I appreciate you coming in and dropping that super chat on it. I like the people that hit they like to catch it on the restream. That's important too. Sit back, go work out, put some earbuds in, listen to the show, and do all that. That's typically how I listen to people. I go for my walks and whatnot. I try to get some earbuds in. I need to upgrade them walks to some damn jogging, but yeah. Cardio ain't my thing, but I need it. Jordan Johnson, what's up to you? Sugar G in the building. Ricardo Rodney, 3rd Ward Colombian. Linda Anderson, D. Anderson, already acknowledged you. Tampa Supreme, Emery Perry. Excuse me. And I think that's gonna. Oh, GA Boy in the building. GA Boy, he was on the panel yesterday. Made it on the panel, chilled for like 30 to 40 minutes, and then he ain't do no simping yesterday. My man GA Boy got through a whole show without putting his cape on. I was proud of you, GA Boy. I was proud of you. You didn't put your cape on not one time yesterday. I knew you had it in you. Harry Allen in the building. Peace, Ty City. I'll holler at you. He said 2.0 topic, I'm out. I'll holler at you, man. I catch you. You going live later on. I just catch you. I check you out there. You ain't gotta listen. We don't need your negative energy in here today. We don't need you fucking up the vibe, fucking up the ambiance in here. We don't need that. You can go on and be on your way. Be having the ambiance all messed up. But yeah, once again, thank everybody for coming on in. I think, oh yeah, SKC. I just saw SKC in the chat. He said he on the way. At least I think I saw him. Okay. So yeah, he right there. He said he's on the way. So yeah, we're gonna get that started, and we're gonna get into it. But that yesterday show was a good one. It was a fun one. I like to recap the last show. That was an interesting topic. It was on my mind to do that for a while, but I kept putting it off. But I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about that one, because it's a weird one, because you don't know if you think when you bring that up in a chat room with a live audience, you think people are going to, it's a potential chance you're just going to be out in left field. And ain't nobody going to relate to it or admit to relating to that. But everybody was on point. Everybody was on point and conceded the point that, yeah, that shit happens to them. Them women playing peekaboo with it. And so that was what's up. We had a good show, had a good time with that. I'm sorry, I got some dead air going. I just had a scary moment here. My screen door, for whatever reason, it don't close all the way. And you know, when you got headsets on, you can hear every little thing. You can hear a pin drop in the other room. So my screen door is making all kind of noise because the wind blowing, and my screen door is like, and it sounds like a damn scary movie screen door. So I was sitting here talking, and y'all heard like a little tremble in my voice, because I thought that the goddamn one of them things from Insidious was about to creep up on me. David Monroe says women don't really get that so many men have the same experiences with so many different types of women. Very true, very true. Yeah, that's why a lot of them think that we just out here in left field. We just out here in left field, out the blue, pulling all this out our ass. We ain't experienced nothing. That came up on the breakdown of woman's perspective yesterday. They were asking how many men in this space have actually experienced the things that we're talking about. You know, to imply that every people just going off, like it's just a small percentage of people that experience it and everybody else just going off what everybody else said. That was the implication there. And, you know, it was a subtle denial of reality, in my opinion. You got it, David Monroe. You already got it. I didn't have to go into too many details. See how they wanted to gaslight Ramil. Yeah. I saw that. They ask so many leading questions. It'd be funny. But that's what they do. That's what goes on over there. It's all good. I ain't tripping. Perfect Blackness in the building. Salute to you. D-Rock Dean, BK Hammer. I see y'all out here. BK Hammer says, we all been through that. Seems like we all handled it a little differently. LOL. What he's referring to right there is what I talked about on the previous show. Mostly everybody here that's here bright and early listened or caught a piece of it yesterday when I was talking about how women will come all the way to a man's house, get fully well, not fully undressed, get down to like t-shirt and panties and get in the bed and still still not want to still not want to get it popping. Whoa, shit! Sorry about that. I'm getting all kind of alerts, and that's good. That's good. I mean, somebody sent the cash app, but it was a triple take on there. I'm like, damn, did I get 3 cash apps in a row? Well, let me turn it down. Nope, it was just one. Let me turn it down for you. And that was a $5 cash app from my man D-Rock Den. Says should be another good stream. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm hoping it to be a good one. I'm waiting for and when I said I'm waiting for SKC to make it into the room, he came right up and popped right up on in there. I like that Excalibur make that phone ring. Make that phone ring. I like that. What did somebody else just say before I throw it to SKC? He said Ramil beheaded them over there. It was more of a cool conversation. I didn't look at it like they weren't being that adversarial. They was asking questions and getting answers that they didn't like, but I didn't look at it like that much of a debate. You know, I think they probably did get a little debate-ish but I think I probably missed that part. But for the most part, I just saw them asking questions and he was just giving answers that they didn't like. But you know, it wasn't like it was confrontational. So it was cool. It was cool. It was cool. Just a little cool conversation. Nothing too major, but without further ado, SKC, the community anthropologist, is in the building. What's up, man?
Hello.
Hello.
What's going on, man?
Hey, man, just like the square, educated lame that you are. Hello there.
Oh, yeah.
How do you do?
Hey. Morning, Mr. Riley.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, man, when you contacted me a few days ago about the topic, man, thank you for, giving me some time to square some things up. Man, it has been so busy during this Corona thing and so forth. My business has been like booming. So
that is crazy. A lot of people experiencing that. I experienced it too, that the Corona is helping some businesses somehow.
Yeah, man, I'm like backlogged upon backlog, and then
I know, because you're supposed to be putting together an intro for me, and you on CP time with that thing, man. You got
bro, man. Apologies, man. It's when I say it's crazy, it is crazy. Just like this morning, I had to go drop off my boys. Usually, my sister-in-law picks them up because she's a private tutor, so she has her own little gig going, and she's part of. Well, my boys are part of her group, but with the Corona thing going on, they have certain protocols in place to where the parents got to come in and check in and do certain things to make sure that they're safe and all that. So she can't pick them up in the morning. She has to be there earlier to go through all those protocols. So I've been having to drop my boys off as of late. So, but yeah, I mean, interesting topic. Part of anthropology is history. So, at the outset, like when you were thinking of this topic, why did this come to your mind?
Well, yeah, what I said earlier when I was first talking, it was it had dawned on me that there's still people out there that think the Black Manosphere just came out of nowhere. Like everything was just fine and dandy. Then all of a sudden, out the blue, a bunch of black men just kicked the door down and said, "Hey, look, you bitches, this is what's on our mind." But as if there was no lead up to it. as if there wasn't a history behind it that led to men countering. Like they don't realize that the Black Manosphere is more of a counter punch. They look at it as if it's just an initial sucker punch out of nowhere. It's like, no, it's a counter punch to what's been going on, and a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people have argued otherwise, but I think nobody has ever put a I haven't seen a more finer point put on it than what you did in that article that you did in response to Aaron G. Fountain, when you really broke down the history of what Black men have been more or less hearing from Black women in the media, well, Black women through the media or through their own publications. And you laid out all their publications. And that's one thing that kind of irks me too, when they try to say, oh, well, Black women don't control the media. Okay, but they can control the words that are coming out of their mouth. But they so they can control their own words coming out of their mouth. They can control what they write, and they've written a lot of things that have yeah, they have given a one-sided bias story. And so I loved how you really just broke down the nuts and bolts of everything that has been said in leading up to where we are. So that's what prompted me to more or less say, let's have a more focused conversation on that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was interesting, man, because um I got a lot of emails and comments from the article. Uh, Interestingly enough, uh, man, I got a lot of I would say inquiries from different races of people that wanted me to cover different nuanced topics and have some side interviews. Um, but uh, I don't want it to be stated that I was trying to, create like some type of scorecard, some type of gender based racial
Right.
card saying, "Oh yeah, see you Black women, y'all did this first and all this." It's like no. It was more or less towards what you were saying, so far as people coming into the Black manosphere and thinking that, oh man, there's just been all this bashing of Black women, as they say, and as if this just came out of nowhere and it just shows you how much Black men hate Black women. It's like no, not even close. There's been a long, detailed story, um, and rarely do Black men have the ability to be able to show, um, I would say, detailed proofs of what a lot of these guys talk about. Sometimes you'll have people on different panels, and they'll say, "Man, I remember seeing this as a kid," or I would hear, Black women say this, and then other guys from a whole another part of the country, they'll say, "Man, I heard the same thing. My mom said this too, and I saw this too on TV." And blah. So, but there's never been a lot of people that have, I would say, link those things together in a story to really prove. I would say even in medium form, it really wasn't long form, but in medium form, text that these things actually existed and how they did. So that's what I was attempting to do with the article and answer that question of, should Black men just automatically be uh, aligned with Black feminism? I tip my hat off to zero with that one, man, because it's like I just thought that was an asinine position. So
Right. So to the question, I mean, well, the topic, the history of Black man bashing. Where did it start? Where was what was the genesis where it started happening as far as publications, media, women who more or less had a voice when they, really start putting it out there?
Okay, now I will not state that I am the authority on this at all. These are just that I have found in my small anthropological studies. But One author that led me to a lot of this research is Ishmael Reed. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, but awesome writer, man. He's a pretty cool guy too. And I was reading some of his works, and this had to be about maybe 10, 12 years ago. And I was wondering, as I would discuss things with certain individuals, I would say, "Hey, have you ever read this by Ishmael Reed?" And they'll be like, "Who?" No. And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a black writer. He writes about black male topics and different things and so forth. Fiction, nonfiction." No, I never heard of him. So I was like, why hasn't this guy been heard? So when I started to look at a lot of the research behind how these different writers get published and such, I found that he had to go through a lot of black feminist blackwalling.
Mm.
And he actually created this story called 32 Years of, I want to get the title correct. I'll just state it verbatim. But it's basically, it says 32 years of black writers, black male writers, being blackballed by black feminists. 32 years. So a lot of the
Wait, hold on. Let's back up, and you may or may not know the answer to this question. How exactly do black feminists blackball black male writers? Like, I understand it from a perspective of, let's just say, for example, Oprah has a TV show and she can control who comes on and who doesn't. But how do, in other contexts, how do black feminists blackball black male writers?
Well, interestingly, in his story, he was writing about way back in like the 60s and 70s, where black feminists kind of linked themselves to other groups.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go into all the alphabet stuff and other outlining groups that they wanted certain things put in place for themselves. And some of the black feminists, they align themselves with such individuals. Well, to make the long story short, in order to kind of popularize and polarize a lot of the things that those groups were talking about, you had this growth of, bash the man, bash the patriarchy, and down with these systems of, male control and all of that type of stuff. Well, one of the problems with that is that, black men were never in control. They never had this superpower over black women to control them and make them do this and that and so forth. They had their own issues to deal with. Am I saying that black men were perfect at that time and that black women didn't have to deal with certain things that had to do with some chauvinistic thoughts and so forth?
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But these groups began to merge with higher academia. Your whole Title IX thing came in, and then you had these women that went into academia, and they totally flipped the script when it came to what was being taught so far as Black or African American history. And that's where you came in with different concepts such as intersectionality, whole bunch of black feministic thoughts. They wanted to come in and I want to be kind of balanced and fair. I'm not going to say totally rewrite history, but it was more or less from a perspective of elevating black female thought while not including how their counterparts assisted or helped. And when you go back to the days of Du Bois, all the way to around that time of the 60s and 70s with black female and male writers, there was almost like an unwritten rule. And Reed talked about it. He said, you talk about put in writing things that are going to help progress black people as a whole. Yeah, there could be little tidbits of things that happen, but we have enough issues as it is. What we want to do is push the next generation to understand how to grow, how to build, and whether that's artistically or not, that's up to the writer. But we're not going to go and put guns blazing on each other. Well,
Mhm.
black women didn't hold to that, and a lot of those writers that came out during that time, you had Alice Walker, and I go hold down a long list of them, and they just they went ham on black dudes. I mean, I went through the story on Medium, and I'll just catalog a few. Okay, Tony K. Bambera, she had this story called "Talking About Sonny." The black male protagonist, he attacks his wife with an axe. Everybody's heard of Toni Morrison. Her very first novel, The Bluest Eye, the black father of the female heroine rapes her on the kitchen floor. That's how the story begins. It's like Alice Walker, of course, we know all of her stuff about the color purple, but even in her novels, her very first novel, The Third Life of Grange Copeland, one of the main black characters throughout the story, he abuses his wife, kills her, and then abandons his newborn son in the winter so it could die.
Damn.
For the type of images that these black female writers were putting out to the world about black men during
Damn.
the time of Ungawa Black Power.
You said what? Say that last part again.
I was saying, and they were putting these stories out during the time of, oh, we all need to be together, Ungawa Black Power.
Mm. So it was
So how together can you be when you have guys that are on the kind of low end of the spectrum, trying to get through the basis of high school and trying to find trade jobs and support families and different things. And yet you have these women who I would say the civil rights era kind of had leaders that fought for things like Title IX and so forth. And once they got in there, they're writing stories like this.
Mm-hmm.
So
damn. Yeah.
you're getting shots physically out on the streets and in your personal life. And then you also have the drug epidemic coming, going along with heroin and crack, outright of racism. And then your intellectual women are killing you on in academia.
Yeah. It's crazy. The thing that I want to back up some and touch on this, because you mentioned how white feminists were more or less pushing back against white men, and the whole power struggle there, or probably wasn't that much of a struggle there, but it was the men had power. If we go back far enough, men had power. Women, I mean, it was a free country, but women de facto were not free. They were de facto second-class citizens, as some would call it, even though, it could be argued. And so many women nowadays are talking as if they actually want to retreat back to the things that the previous generation women ran away from. They're talking like they want to be back home and in the house and raising kids so they can be feminine and they can be free and just float on a cloud of femininity and have no worries. That's how they talking like they want to live now. But the previous generation of women ran away from that. And that was, started with, the second wave of feminists, which was led by white women looking at men as their oppressor. But then you pointed out that black men in that time didn't have power to oppress anyone, but black women aligned themselves with that. And they more or less, when they went on there, all the writings and all the things talking about black men as if black men were oppressors. What I'm gathering from all of that, as if black men were oppressing them, what I'm gathering from all of that, their position wasn't a valid position. They were just following white feminists and just doing and saying more or less what they were doing, what the white feminist was doing. And what's funny about that is Aaron G. Fountain, I keep bringing him up, but he's connected to this article, so he's going to get brought up a couple times. That was what he accused the black manosphere of doing. It's just blindly following the white manosphere, just echoing white manosphere, talking points. They're not really legitimate. They don't have no true thoughts of their own. They're just a spin-off, the great value version of the real manosphere, so to speak. But really, a more accurate depiction of what actually happened with that was what you just talked about when you talk about the early stages of black feminism.
Yeah, and there's there's a lot of nuanced topics in it. Man, I've been trying to get my latest video out for the longest, but it just keeps on growing and growing. I promise everybody it's going to be well worth the wait because it covers a lot of this stuff.
Yeah,
but
you can dig into a lot of that nuance right now.
Oh yeah. Well, one of the nuances is I would just call her name out. A lady named Barbara Smith. King Sigma did a masterful video on the whole thing with what's that black feminism, and I think it's called the Cohen or something like that collective. I forget the exact name of it, but it was a group of black women, and they wanted to go on a more radical approach to the specific needs of black women, and they saw that black women had a set of ideals and needs that were separate from the black community as a whole. That they felt that was not being approached well or handled.
What were those needs, and how could their needs be separate from the black community? That just sounds crazy.
Well, one of those needs, Miss Smith, and I have it in my video. Everybody will be able to see it from her own mouth. She says that, one of the major things that was at the center of this collective that met was that the majority of the women that was in the group were lesbians. So that already shows you that they had some different opinions as to how family structure should be set up and how the direction in which black people should go at that critical juncture after civil rights. And that's where you start to see this split in ideals, because obviously a lot of black men are not going to share the same ideals with, those of that persuasion, especially during the 60s and 70s.
Right.
Openly, I add. So when you tag all that in with other stuff, and let me give you a nuanced thought of that. 20 years later after that, just to show you that it wasn't just some type of, oh man, just people just wanted to live their life, and love is love, and why can't you just let these people be? Okay, well, if it wasn't an issue, why did Alice Walker 20 years later publish an op-ed in the New York Times accusing the Black Panther leadership of being homosexuals?
Yeah, we got to talk about that one.
Yeah.
You said Alice Walker, right?
Yep. May 5th, 1995, New York Times. Anybody can look it up in their archives.
And what was her point, evidence, meaning, purpose? Because we were familiar with the that all of the black civil rights leaders and people who was fighting for all that back in the day, they were just fighting they were fighting on that fight just so they can get access to white women. We heard that one, and now they're gay. So
yeah.
What was her? Was it any meat on the bones in that article? What did she say?
Now it's interesting that Elaine Brown, who was a member of the Black Panthers, she immediately wrote a counter article answer to Alice Walker and told her that, yo, you don't have any hard evidence on anything that you're saying. Um, I was there in the accounts of which you talk about and was in the middle of all of this, and I never saw anything close to what you are trying to accuse. And then she went on further to say, but I understand that a lot of the strings that control your writings, that influence your writings, are by such individuals, cough, cough, Gloria Steinem and crew.
Wait, hold on. Back up. Say that again. Back up. Back up. Say that again. The last part.
So she was saying that, but she understood that behind Alice Walker were a lot of the alphabet crew.
Oh, okay. Got you.
That were all within, the publishing community at that time. So it's pretty obvious where this this concocted story came from, or where it was hired from.
Are you saying that it's possible she was doing a lot of projecting, like we see with a lot of arguments that are made, that are still being made? Where that's what I'm saying. If a lot of her constituents who were fighting their fight was actually lesbians, then she's looking at, I guess, who she viewed. I don't know why she would view them as her opposition, the Black Panthers and all of that. But she's just, it's like she's trying to pin the tail on the wrong donkey, so to speak.
Well, it wouldn't be too far fetched so far as why she would look at it from that lens, because what a lot of people don't understand is in the actual book of The Color Purple, there were lesbian relationships. It wasn't as pronounced in the movie, but in the book, it was very pronounced.
Oh, I mean, it's funny. I just recently watched The Color Purple, unconnected to us doing this interview. But I was at my I had to stop at my brother's house for some. Well, actually, I was dropping off a Mother's Day gift, and my mom was at my brother's house, so I stopped over there, and I think The Color Purple came on BET, and I watched like 15 minutes of it over there, and I realized how long it's been since I've seen it. So I came home and watched it all the way from the beginning on Mother's Day, and it doesn't shock me at all if you say that there was some lesbianism, if that's a word. It wouldn't shock me at all that there was some lesbianism in there, with because we see what was going on with Celie and damn, I'm forgetting names.
Yeah, the other lady, the singer lady. Yeah.
How the hell did I forget her name?
I don't know.
Shug Avery. Yeah, it was. Yeah, so it was shit going on with Celie and Shug Avery, where it was depicted as he was just comforting her, but no, they had a full lesbian moment. So it doesn't shock me that was deep and entrenched into the book. You know what I also didn't realize, because I hadn't seen that movie in so long? Like, when we think about how bad it was, how bad of a person that Mr. was in that movie, the real enemy, probably the worst dude in there was Celie's dad. And I didn't even realize, because I swear I hadn't seen that movie in so long that either I forgot or just completely blanked out of my mind that the two babies she had one of them on screen, and one of them she had already had before the movie started. She was impregnated by her dad.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that. And I was just like, damn, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
And then when he essentially sold her to Mr., and then that meant Nettie, who was younger, who probably was 12, was left there at the house. And then he started on her, and that's why she had to go run to get salvation at the house of another person who was about to rape her. So it's when she had to go run to Celie and Mr. So it was just like, God damn. But I don't know. I hadn't seen it either. I hadn't seen it in so long either. I just forgot, or just didn't really put together how fucked up that was. But I was just like, damn. It's like the first two male characters in the movie, just full blown child. Just it was like, damn.
Just as another side point, I was listening to Tia Son Johnson's video the other day, and everybody should check it out. But he made mention of a part in that movie that I didn't even recognize. He said, you know, the Sealy lady, Whoopi Goldberg, she goes to go get some letters from her sister, and she's reading them. And he said, and in the background, while this moving part about these two sisters being, you know, reunited and, you know, and such, in the background, there's black men on a chain gang. And he said, you know, when you think about movies and how things are pushed and how they set up different you know, different scenes and so forth. You now, from my perspective, I understand this because I've seen it so far. It's storyboarding, but you put certain things in there for symbolic reasons or as a backdrop of juxtaposition or
Mm-hmm.
and so this scene is showing that these two sisters having this moment of, I would say, truth between each other is juxtaposed with the men being imprisoned.
Mm.
It's like, and you have to ask the question, what is the purpose of even having the men in prison there?
Yeah.
I mean, the entire movie wasn't like some type of thing of showing, you know, how to help black men or the condition of black men and so forth. No, it's like the most of the movie showed all sorts of bad scenes of black men. So even scene of a loving part between, you know, these two black women sharing these letters, you still have to show in a clip of these bad black men.
Yeah.
I just thought it was odd, man. I thought it was odd. So, um, man, there's so many nuanced topics to touch on when you talk about this history of man bashing, a black man bashing. I'll give you another instance. And you tell me what you think, and maybe the audience can tell me what they think as well. What is the purpose of this? A writer named Gail Jones, she wrote a novel called Eva's Man. Now, the heroine of the book, she fights against her lover's attempt to dominate her. And she can't physically fight him because he's stronger. So she ends up poisoning him and he dies.
Okay.
After he's already dead, the portion of the book goes into this description of her going up to the dead body, biting off his penis after he's already dead. What's the point of that? Could you all help me?
Real quick before I do that, that is true. Digital Night. We found out at the end of the movie that I think her actual dad died, and that was her stepdad. But either way it goes, still fucked up that the stepdad impregnated her twice before the age of 14, and then started moving in on the younger daughter after he's so silly to the second worst black man on earth. So I mean, it was all bad either way. But you know that is technically true that it wasn't her biological dad. But I mean he raised her since I think 2 years old. 1 year, I forgot. It was described in a voiceover. So I don't exactly remember. But yeah, either way, still bad. Now back to the penis getting bit off part about that is symbolic on so many levels. Somebody could write a whole essay on what that meant. I okay, well here we somebody got something going on. She emasculated him even with the death, I guess. That's a good one. I think General is on the same thing. He says that was a show of emasculating the black man. So yeah, it was just a symbolic emasculation, dethroning, she wanted to cut off the lion's mane, so to speak. I don't know. It was, yeah, it's hard to even put into words. Like somebody need a really poetic, abstract thinker to really break down what was meant in that, because that is
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, yeah. So, and I agree with what Q497 he says. When people mutilate genitalia, it usually means that the person was victimized or raped by that person, and I get that.
Yeah, that's good.
Now,
That's good.
now what Ishmael Reed brings out in his essay about these type of stories, between these black male writers and black female writers, is that why is it that you have so many occurrences of this particular style of story within that era of black female writing? And why is there so many instances of um, lesbianism within that sector of black female writing at that particular time as well? You got to remember, this is supposed to be on the cusp of we done made it, we together, we got these rights, and now we're gonna push the nation and our people forward.
Yeah.
Does that help that movement?
Mm-hmm. Because part of
And this coming from supposedly the most educated of your group.
well, okay.
So again, it's kind of, everybody can get that it's counterproductive. So that's why it's important for when you have individuals like a Mr. Fountain Jr. that will come in 30 years later and will say, well, of course every black man should be aligned with black male feminists. No. PhD of history, you should look into history a bit more.
Mm. Wow. Damn it. It's a lot to pick apart there.
Yeah.
Lot to unpack there. I don't even know exactly where to start. I'll probably circle back to some of that.
Wherever you want to take it. We
Yeah, no, it was a lot of that was said. I should have been writing down. It'll come back to me, and I'll circle back to some other things I wanted to highlight about what you said there. It's interesting about the whole, post civil rights movement, Black Power. It do seem like a part of that movement where Black people was, got their rights. They washed, they cut the perm off their hair, rocking the afros. We Black, we beautiful, we free, we Black Power. In the midst of that, it is like, like embedded into that would be what we call in today is Black love. If Black people loving themselves, obviously they should be loving each other. And it seemed like that, that's a time when Black men and Black women, supposed to be coming together, but the Black women who did have a voice in the media or the talent to write or whatever, yeah, they were writing a lot of things to bring it apart, so to speak. And that's an interesting way to look at it. I never exactly looked at it like that. But what else? Let's
Yeah, and people can say different things, for what it's worth, but I think it's very interesting when you look at some of the black male men, or black male men. That doesn't make any sense. Well, the black men in media who had some sets of power and influence, and the images that they tried to project about black men to the world. You had, of course, the late John Singleton and what he did with, Boys in the Hood, and the father, and the son actually making the right decision when influenced by a loving father. You had
Boys in the Hood, real quick, don't lose your thought. Boys in the Hood is actually a great movie. That's one of the few of the hood movies. And I was going to I'll probably do a show on this, comparing the difference in the hood movies where it's just niggas doing nigga shit and ain't really that much of a rhyme or reason, But with Boys in the Hood, where you could see the difference in how Trey, as a kid who was raised by his dad, and how he turned out. Doughboy, who didn't have a dad in his life, and how he turned out. Ricky had the same mom, but also no dad, but the mom believed in him. And so he turned out okay with how, the mom, believed in him and supported him and was there for him. But she was like telling Doughboy, "Oh, well, fuck you, you just like your daddy, just like your nappy head daddy, you ain't gonna be shit just like him."
But why did she believe in him?
Ah.
Because he was the meal ticket.
Mm.
Meal ticket out of their situation that she created.
Good shit. Yeah.
I mean, so you had that. I see some others like South Central Colors.
Yeah.
And a father saying to his son, "This is some BS. Don't do this. Don't live this type of way. You need to get away from this junk and so forth." Okay.
Yeah.
Even I know some people may have some different opinions about him or whatnot, but it cannot be denied the image of the black man that he put forth, Bill Cosby.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Cosby Show, and you had the doctor as a husband, Theo as a young boy growing up, and eventually he goes on to mentor other troubled young men. The influence that he put with A Different World that a lot of us were influenced by, saying like, "God, dog, it's a doggone black man on a nerd black man that's on TV, and he talking about he want to be a mathematics major." I mean, it's like those type of images, they had influence. But at the same time, look at the type of images that were put out by black women about black men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I didn't. That is interesting when you look at the movies, and black men didn't exactly start. I'm trying to think. I can go back early as the 80s when black men were making movies where you could look at a movie that was written and directed by a black man. 80s as far back as I can think. If it was some in the 70s, I missed it. I don't know about it. But going back to, mid to late 80s on into the early 90s, it didn't come off as we're setting out to show how wrong or how bad these women are. It was more so about black men and their trials and tribulations, and women were involved, but they weren't the villains of the story, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think that was the difference in a lot of those other movies that was written and directed or just put together, or books that was written by black women. They were full blown, like black men in many cases were the absolute villain, almost in a cartoonish Batman villain type of way.
Yeah.
Like they had menacing monologues before they did their evil deed. Like it was just outright.
Yeah.
Like damn.
It was hyperbole, and I mean, I know when I was growing up, I didn't know any black men that acted like what was in The Color Purple. And even when I used to, talk with my grandparents, especially my grandmother before she passed, and my grandfather, he's still here, but like they were like, "I don't know these people."
I never thought to ask nobody that.
Yeah, man, they were like, "Man, it's some." I don't know no Negroes that act like that. So
I mean, color purple. It was like very, very early into the 1900s. Like it was like a 50-year-old man. I think Color Purple. I think the story started in like 1909, ended like 1936. So at that time, a 50-year-old man was actually was previously a slave. Well, give or take. So I have a hard time believing that they were that damn bad as just oppressive tyrants. Like it's like I don't think black men just got grandfathered into the power structure that men had back then. I really don't believe that was the case to where they were oppressing women like that. They were oppressed themselves, and they was happy to, if they were able to go to work and make a little money just to put enough food on the table to take care of their family. I tend to believe that. I mean, granted, on a bell curve, there's going to be some abusive men. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But the villainous nature that the depiction of it was, it does raise an eyebrow, and it's funny that you said you talked to your great grandparents or whoever you could, and they like, hey, I don't know them niggas.
Yeah, man, it's just a weird thing. You go back and you interview any of those people. Another good source that I used was I don't know if you ever heard of Real Black TV. It's a
Heard of it, don't know very little about it. So go ahead and
it's a couple of film guys that one of them is a older guy. He like grew up in I think in the 50s or whatnot, and he goes back and he does like film reviews of all different type of black films and black actors or whatnot. And I mean, again, even what he said about the Color Purple was like, hey, it was really odd for such a film to come out at that particular time in history because you had all of these um, black men that were trying to put out positive things about black people as a whole. And I mean, he went on to show like shows like Benson and just other even when you look at Good Times. I mean, when did you ever see the women do anything bad in Good Times?
Not at all. Other than just normal family stuff,
I mean, the main characters there, the women. I mean, when did Florida do something bad? When did Thelma do something bad?
Oh, didn't she burn a kid with an iron or something like that? Didn't somebody?
Yeah, but that wasn't a major character. All of the major characters, the major men characters, did something bad. You had James throwing chairs across the screen. Yeah, joining the gang, and yeah, JJ, he womanizing it going on. It's like it's
yeah. Damn, what was I going to say? Okay, so what do you think about? Because I've heard this counter argument where somebody was like, oh, well, look at rap music and what rap music said, about black women. What do you think about how people make it seem like that was the official, formal, educated, well articulated word of black men speaking their truth? What do you think about that argument?
I think that it was a certain sector of black men who some of them I think they did speak on different things that it's highly likely that they either experienced or they saw happening. Take for instance, like well, I won't even go into that, but I think that they did report on some things that they saw and experienced in life. I think other parts of it were just as what some of the black women did, hyperbole, just to sell as many records as possible or to get acclaim from within the industry and for shock value. But at the same time, I would have to in some ways categorize that sector with the same type of look of, hey, how does this help you as a whole? If you are really about this so-and-so community, how does that help you in the long run? And I know that that's probably a heavy charge to put on a bunch of young men that were probably seeking a alternative way of making money.
Okay, well, hold on. Let me push pause right there because I think you said the most important part. All right, a lot of those rappers, we talking 19, 20. Some of them probably was 17, 18. We talking young black men between the age of 17 and 21
Right.
We're not talking about our
College
sophisticated,
trained
educated.
writers that have gone through
Yes,
write English and different writing courses and programs that have bachelors and masters.
these were not the well thought out PhD elite. The,
Hmm.
the so let's, if you want to draw a comparison, look at the things that a Dr. Dre or a Snoop Dogg is doing now and saying now, comp- versus that, look, compare, you can compare them now and the things that they would put out, or Ice Cube for that matter. Look at how thoughtful Ice Cube is now with what he says and what he puts out. That's the best example, Ice Cube. Right
Yep.
now, as a 50-year-old man, the stuff that he puts out is very thoughtful, family conscious, community conscious. He's thinking about all of that. And yes, it is some nigga shit splashed in there, but for good clean fun, but still a family and or community message in it. Now these
Hmm.
women were in a place in their life where they at least should have been on the mindset, on the level of at least a nigga named Ice Cube, you know, but they're in their 40s, probably 50s, some of them, writing this stuff and not even thinking larger picture, like somebody like Ice Cube, who did start out at 21 talking about bitches and hoes and this or that. He wised up by 40 and realized that this ain't really good. These
Exactly.
women were 40 and was still depicting it that way. So that's the key thing that I always wanted to say in response to people who make the argument when it comes to rap music. 'Cause we just saw how even when Snoop slipped up and said something that was reminiscent of his early rap days, he had to backtrack and apologize. And one more point on that. This is what I've always thought: pre Black Manosphere, pre Red Pill, pre any of all of this whole thought process that goes on here.
Yeah.
I grew up naturally thinking that generally, and I don't know if it was media, I don't know if it was just my mom. I generally thought and felt like most women were genuinely good women, and the only bad women were like the strippers, porn stars, prostitutes, or the local neighborhood hoe. Just they wore it on their sleeves, and you knew which ones was bad and which ones wasn't. And you got a little bit of background noise, by the way.
Oh,
And
okay.
and so that's how I always looked at it. So when I would heard rap music, as a kid, I'm hearing, bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. I'm thinking like, the bitches and the hoes and tricks, that's them over there, and it didn't really apply to women as a whole or black women as a whole. And it would be a subtle but very it would be a subtle but very powerful difference if instead of saying bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks, if they would have said black women ain't shit but hoes and tricks. If they would have been that specific to try to narrow it down, that yeah, black women are specifically bad. But I mean, it would have, the wording of that would have sold the point in a stronger way that this was a deliberate attack against black women. But what it more so was is young kids 17 to 21, or young men 17 to 21, trying to figure out a way to just make some money and get out of their situation. And you know money, drugs, gold chains, fast cars, and fast women sell, and they 17 to 21. So what do you expect? Not to give them an excuse, and I definitely don't excuse rap music today. The rap that I do listen to, it gotta have a point to it, even if it's some nigga shit being talked about. As long as I feel like the rapper is trying to tell a story or trying to be creative in how he's presenting it, I can stomach it. But but yeah, rap music was bad, but I don't think you can put that on par with everything that you're laying out that came from very, seeming supposed to be intellectual academic women of that time, the thought leaders of that time. That's the best way to put it. The thought leaders of that time was putting out that garbage. Our our 18-year-old drug dealers of that time was putting out rap music. So that's the difference.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people in the comments, they were actually pointing out, well, my next point is that kind of like as Uncle Dave Carroll, as he says, these were the men that were raised by a lot of single mothers. I mean, I don't know too many. I could be wrong, because I know there's some people that are like I would say gangster rap specialist and whatnot. I'm not, but from my recollection, I don't think that there are a lot of gangster rappers who are well known and sold a lot of records that have prominent fathers, or that speak of their fathers in some type of good light, or even acknowledge their fathers being in their lives.
Yeah, no, that's excuse me, that's true. That's true.
So it's kind of like to use that as a thought to go back where we were when
mhm.
women were putting out all of these different written works about black men, and then you had the this insertion of intersectionality and the breakup of the black family. Well, the response that you saw in these from these rappers were spawned on by that breakup of the family.
Yeah.
So it's like, in many ways, like, I'm not, coming to bat or coverage for, gangster rap and everything that it stated about black women and whatnot. But a lot of it was seeded by the, by the breakup of the black family, and these different ideals that these groups of black women wanted to insert, um, that they said that that black men and black nationalism wasn't going to properly feed. So it like I said, it gets nuanced, man, but
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's interesting.
It is. That is interesting. All right. What else as far as we got? Let's
Yeah, I mean,
other more stories that was coming in that time frame that was coming out. More books. What else? What else? What else you
sure,
got on the
sure.
docket?
Another thing that I thought was interesting about this is people could say, well, that happened back then. Well, no, even more recently, stuff has come out. And I believe this was like in the early 2000s. There was a playwright, a lady named Katari Hall. And she made this play about MLK called Mountaintop. Now, I'm all cool with, telling a different side of a story, or highlighting BS that happens, and putting up a question mark to say, this is something that you should think about or whatnot. But again, this is a woman who says that she is pro-black, we for the people, pro-black people, and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And she comes out with this play, Mountaintop, on Broadway. And you remember, I don't know if you remember back during this time, but this is like when all that stuff was going on about creating MLK Junior statue and all that stuff. I don't know if you remember it or not.
Mm-hmm. There was
a lot of fanfare, and there was a lot of money that was put towards it, and all of these different movements and blah blah blah. And this lady decides who is supposed to be pro-black and for pro-black people, she debuts this play, Mountaintop, purposely on the same weekend of the unveiling of the MLK statue. And throughout this play, it I won't say highlights, but it has different sections that mocks MLK's flirtatious nature with fictional characters.
Mm.
Now think about the message that you're sending out to the world, because MLK was a person known across the globe. And you know that media and stuff was all over the world was covering, the unveiling of this statue and what it meant for Black people in America and whatnot. And here you have a Black woman who's created a play and debuted it on the same weekend to mock his indiscrepancies with women.
Mm.
Think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was bad timing, at least. I don't know what to man.
So
The same time that his statue is being erected, that's when she drops that.
Yeah. So it's like, to me, I'm a coon. I'm all good for constructive criticism about whatever, and something happened, bring it up, play around with it, whatever. But at the same time, it's all when I read that, it reminded me of the whole Kobe thing. He just died, where he should be celebrated in all of his accomplishments and being looked at all over the globe. What do these Black women bring up?
Yeah.
And so it's like you're seeing a pattern of that over and over and over and over again. And even when you throw in the whole Bill Cosby thing, I'm not saying that he was innocent or guilty, but I do find it very odd that the same woman who starred in this movie that talked about all of the evil Black man thing and so forth, couldn't wait to chime in on the downfall of Bill Cosby. So it's like when you look at things from a historical aspect and you start lining things up, the track record doesn't look good, man. And like I said at first, it's not a whole thing of like trying to keep score, like some type of golf scorecard or something like that. But it's absurd for someone 30, 40 years later to say, without knowing any of this stuff, to say, nah, Black men, they just always been against Black women.
Like, no. Big Game Orenthal James says there's no proof MLK was cheating on his wife. I don't know if that's accurate. I think that there was some proof, right?
Yeah, I think in the book that was covered by I forget the guy's name. Taylor, I want to say, is his last name. I got to go look in my library, but it was a book that was actually a series of books that was actually promoted by the King family that wrote of those discrepancies. So, I mean, he was a true historian, and he went back and he got accounts of different things that occurred. So I don't think it's totally inaccurate.
Yeah, no, I didn't think so either. I figured you probably knew more about the source than I did. I didn't know the exact source, but I just know it's been stated enough to where I didn't. It's been stated enough from so many angles that I don't believe that they that somebody just pulled it out their ass. Didn't that one? Okay. The most recent movie about Martin Luther King, I think it was called Selma or something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know the movie. I haven't seen it though.
Okay, yeah, I don't know this for a fact. Don't quote me on this. I think somebody said it was alluded to in that movie, but I'm not sure. I think the person who I heard say that may have very well been making a joke. But yeah, I do want to watch that movie. I'm curious if they touched on that. I would find that to be odd if they did, but because that's Martin Luther the King. Ain't nobody trying to put no dirt on Martin Luther the King.
I see the gold 11 in the back
Yeah, I
there.
was about to say shout out salute to the Dawn 11.
Head is bloody but unbowed. What's going on, bro? Um, yeah, man. When you look into this history of things and you look at how people are today, it brings up a lot of red flags, but it gives you a lot of aha moments of, man, you can really see why people within the community are the way that they are, and why a lot of these arguments come up between black men and black women. But for the longest, black women have been pushing this this innocence, this pure innocence of,
There you go.
why the evil black man is just against his woman. The white woman has put some type of spell on him, and he just wants to be accepted by the white man so much that he's willing to sacrifice his queen, his mother. So it's like, nah, bro. There's a whole bunch of stuff, man. To give you like another instance from the same woman, Katari Hall. She created a play called Freedom Train. And in this play, black men are shown to be responsible for sending a black woman to the back of the bus during the civil rights era. I mean,
What? That can't be for real.
no. It was black men's fault that the woman went to the back of the bus. I mean, so it's like, come, and this is more of a modernized play. So it's like,
How? What was her? Still, man, her argument. What was? How did she lay that out? How did black men?
I have not seen it. All I did was just read the excerpts from the play. Anybody that wants to actually go and take a look at it, again, the lady's name is Katari Hall, Katori Hall. The play name is Freedom Train. Freedom Train. And in it, it has a depiction of the black men sending the black woman to the back of the bus, and this is during civil rights era. So,
real quick, spell her name real quick. I'm gonna try to check that out.
Sure.
Investigation. Spell her name.
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay. And while you're doing that, Prophet of Thought, thank you for that cash app. I didn't say it on the air. I posted it in the chat just in case you ain't see it. Oh shit, I'm choking. That wasn't Corona. That wasn't COVID-19. Don't worry.
And checking for you was right. It is the author of that King family books, Taylor Branch. He's actually correct. I think it's a 3-part series of different things that happened with Martin Luther King before he became a civil rights leader, during it, and then the latter years. Yeah.
Okay. All right. While I'm at it, y'all, let's go ahead and do something with these likes. Let's get these likes up a little bit more. Got 93 people in here, 61 people watching. Let's hit the like button if you haven't done that already. Hit that like button. And thanks again, Prophet of Thought, for the cash app, and D-Rock Den sent the cash app too. I think I thanked you at the beginning of the show. I see 2 cash apps sitting there. So yeah, I appreciate that. But yeah, oh damn, did you post her name yet? So I can.
Yeah, it's down.
Okay, there it is. Okay, I see it. I can't do 2 things at once. Let me stop the show for a second and write that down. Katori Hall. Yeah, I was gonna forget that. All right, got that done. Go ahead. If you was moving on to the next one.
Yeah. Go to another one real quick. Back in 91, you remember when the whole thing with Anita Hill took place, right?
No.
Clarence Thomas, Anita Hill. Anita Hill accused Clarence Thomas of being sexually.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I forgot. I know about Clarence Thomas. I forgot the name of the person who, the accuser. I didn't know. But yeah, go ahead.
And they, held this man on what, CNN, C-SPAN, or whatnot for 100 days.
Mm-hmm.
basically having a open forum um, court case before the American public,
Mm-hmm.
before he, was found not guilty. And of course, I think it's very interesting that at the front of that hearing, you had Joe Biden, who
Mm.
was posing the majority of the questions towards Mr. Thomas.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's all kinds of fucked up. That touchy feely motherfucker.
So I mean, yeah, it's the irony there is insane. You can't even write the stuff. So after that, after the case was dismissed and whatnot, found erroneous and all that.
Let me troll David Monroe real quick. You got to chill with that. Just calling anything a lynching, because the Ahmaud Arbery was referred to as a lynching, and you would have none of that on calling Ahmaud Arbery, calling Ahmaud Arbery murder a lynching, but you're going to put the word lynching on this. Fucking coon. No, just
man, you gonna bring that back up, and then those gonna want to come up, and then they gonna bring up this thing with Breonna Taylor now. Yeah. you gonna have a hailstorm on yourself for like the next 3 or 4 days.
Had to troll my man David Monroe for a little bit. Just gonna casually throw lynching out there. No, I got my eye on you.
Oh man. But
anyway, I cut you off.
So after the case was found to be erroneous, and he was cleared, women, they weren't done with it. A lot of black women weren't done with it. They actually they purchased a ad in the New York Times, which at the time cost about 10 grand. And to kind of just edge this out a little bit, let me go to the whatchamacallit, the little calculator. What's that? Inflation. So you go there, and $10,000 for this ad in the New York Times in 1991. So everybody would get the worth of that. Okay, so in today's money, that's like someone paying almost double, $19,300 for an ad. And in this ad, these black women, these 1,600 black feminists, wrote African American women in defense of themselves or ourselves. And it was their response basically saying that they had been done this huge wrong, and that even black men and the world is against them, and that the only individuals that now can uphold things for African American women are themselves. And then there was a long series of articles after that from various, I would say, black women that wrote, basically clapping this article. And it was, this is just one place that it was, that this ad was purchased. It was purchased in a lot of other news media outlets, paper news media outlets. But it just shows you that, again, even a black man being being on trial for 100 days in front of the American public and being set free, no,
wasn't enough.
But what else happened close around this time? Do you recall of another black man being set free?
No.
You don't know.
Refresh me.
OJ?
Set free? No, that was, well, I thought it was more like 94.
Uh-huh.
Well, close to the time.
And right after that, these same women had no issue with OJ being set loose because of what?
Well, OJ's infraction was against a white woman.
Oh,
I think that was the
oh,
okay, yeah. I didn't put two and two together. Damn. How did I
oh.
didn't catch that? I
So
didn't catch
on
that.
one end, a black man that's of the whole respectability thing and his court cases being in front of the American public for 100 days and so forth, and he's set free, you have a problem with that. You put together money and ads to show this is some BS. But then a few years later, another black man is put in front of the American public, and it has to do with a white woman and a death. Oh no, praise the Lord that he set him free.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
Now look at the track record. Look at the track record of both men.
Mm-hmm.
Has Clarence Thomas given you any other issues?
No.
Has OJ?
Have you given black women any other issues?
No, just any other illegal issues or whatnot?
No, not against them.
Not against them, but he has been back within legal issues.
Yeah, you know, he's a jackass.
On one, that is the type of dude that you say, as a nation of black women and men, oh yeah, he's all cool. But Terrence Thomas, oh no, we need to write an article. We need to band together. Even to this day, actually, it was last year. Anita Hill came out with a thing on I think it was on either the OWN network or it was some other black female TV show where they interviewed her and she recounted her thing again, saying that the American public owes her an apology and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that's wild.
She was involved with a lot of she was making rounds during the Me Too era of doing talks and stuff. But she herself was the same woman that said that Bill Clinton wasn't guilty.
Yeah, it's a lot of them looking bad on the, you know. Was that you that pointed out that somebody said believe Joe Biden or I believe Joe Biden? You know, they say believe the woman.
That is what's the name? The lady that wants to be his VP. The lady that lost, Stacey Abrams.
Yeah. Sturdy
Yeah.
Stacey.
Yeah.
As a
She said she believes him.
Yeah.
Biden. So this is the type of stuff that I'm saying so far. It's like the history. When you put it, you know, piece different things together, you see the absurdity of the position of a lot of the women. And I think to a certain degree within the spaces of YouTube and a lot of, I would say, female content creators and also their fans, they don't take into account a lot of the other side of this story because, one, they don't want to hear it. And then, two, they don't know it. And then three, when it is brought to their attention, they're so enveloped in the idea of almost like a, you know, just believe all black women and black women are the best and we're the most educated and all the other tropes that have been fed to them since they were little. And it's impossible that these dudes are actually accurate in what they're producing before, you know, the media today.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's been some good stuff here. I'll drop that link in there if somebody else wanna come up and get a piece of this action. But no, that definitely been some good stuff. You brought up some things I hadn't really thought about because whatever the OJ thing that is interesting. It speaks to, and that's it's a black people thing where depending on who was the victim, who was the accused, it will warp our whole view of it. There's a lot of that with black people, but I never made that connection with how black women. Oh yeah, that would have been a black woman killed. It would have been a completely different ball game. But they was, you know, celebrating as all black people were celebrating, doing cartwheels in the street like that. That Chris Rock joke when he was like, everybody, all the black people was like, "We won, we won."
Now,
Like, what
now,
the fuck did
now,
we win?
Bernard, I don't know. I think we're around close to the same age, but
Yeah, I turned 38 next month.
yeah. So I'm a year ahead of you.
Okay.
Um, so during high school, I don't know about you, man, but I remember when the OJ case came out and they had it on
Mm-hmm.
in high school, and when the verdict came out that OJ was free, it was almost like there was a pause in school, and people were going nuts.
Were you at a predominantly white, black, or mixed school?
I was at a mixed school,
Okay.
and the black kids, man, they were going nuts, man. It was like dudes ran out the class. It was down the hallway. I mean, it was insane. But some other people that I've talked to, they said that similar things happened wherever kind of like they were. It was like people all out in the street honking their horns.
Oh no, the evidence is all over. It's videos everywhere on that. Just type in OJ verdict reactions, and you're gonna see people you're gonna see a group of black people getting recorded, and they said Orenthal, James Simpson, not guilty. They jumped up like somebody just hit a game-winning three-pointer in triple overtime in Game 7. Like, I mean, that's how we reacted back then. It was
I had a
celebration.
I had a government teacher. We were real cool, real cool. I learned a lot of my sarcasm from him. But I remember when it happened, all I wanted to do is ran out of class and everything. I just kind of got up and kind of walked over to the desk and was like, God, great, this is insane. And
so you mean tell me you was a coon way back then too?
Yeah, I was a coon back then, man.
Oh, goddamn, man, come on now.
So he said something to me that still stuck out to me today, man. He was like, "Damn, did the slaves get free again?"
Oh shit. You should have got his ass fired for that. You got him the fuck out of there.
I was rolling, man. I was rolling. So, but yeah, man, it's just crazy. It's crazy, and I don't find it. Well, I find it interesting because there's so many parallels that can be drawn between those two stories of Clarence Thomas and OJ. And I think one that's important that isn't talked about, both of them were white women. So why such a different reaction? Well, I think it's because of who they said was affected. On one end, a white woman died, and on the other end, a black woman wasn't believed.
Right.
Yo, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, man.
What's going on, Nagone?
What's up, Nagone? I'm glad
Oh,
StreamYard
shit.
is working
Okay.
for you.
What's up, babies?
What's up?
Hey, Nagone, man, it's been a while. Can you do it for me, man? Can you say, get your mind right?
Okay, this is what I want to say first, man. Now, we all talking about this CJ King. We all talking about all this other stuff that's going on. Y'all talking about these black females. The key of this thing is here. You got to understand a lot of them are not feeling you that way. I mean, the bottom line very simply is, you see these brothers laying up on couches, making no dough, talking all kind of shit. Bitches rolling around, paying for them, giving them dough, all this kind of stuff. They got no smoke for them. But here's a brother, or brothers who are out here doing their thing, going to school, getting their degrees, putting in work. and they call them gay and everything else like that. They got all kind of smoke for them cats. Smoke for them, but these other dudes running around fucking up all over the place. They got no smoke for them. So I gotta say, you gotta get your mind right. You you gotta get your money right. You can see with this COVID, you gotta get your body right. This body shit is keeping your shit alive. Keep your overhead low, your savings high, because there are opportunities out here that are coming down where if you got a little bit of money, this is time to strike. And keep this fucking succubus far behind. Only thing she gonna do is tear you out the frame when you running with it. Okay, she ain't trying to fuck with you like that. So I think, and we see examples of this every day. It's a daily thing. Every day there's something coming up showing you what's up. Every day there's something coming up and showing you where she's really coming from on this. Every day. You brothers who out here putting in work, you a sucker, you a lame, you this, you that. These other dudes laying around talking all kind of bullshit, acting, sucker late as fuck, but yet these is saying, oh yeah, he down, just because he may throw a rock through a window in a Vietnamese store, and yet they in there the next day like there's no tomorrow.
Right.
No, it's a fact. I mean, we seen it. The brother walking there with a camera. They was in there thick as thieves in that motherfucker the next day. All right. Now they gonna grab this Tyrone, throw him on the couch, give him a little pussy, a little, a little something to eat, and he good. He the man, but yet they ain't paying no mind. But dudes up in here going to law school, getting their mind right, getting all that shit right. He's gay. Look at his clothes. He bird chested. He this, he that. They got all kind of smoke for these dudes. Sisters don't want to be with this kind of guy, or be with dudes like there's something wrong with y'all. So you got to look at a lot of this. And I'm not saying every black woman thinks this way, but there's so many of them who do. It's you can't even begin to deny it. I was listening to a live stream just the other day, man. These sisters were talking about dudes laying up, ain't doing nothing, babes giving them money, everything else like that. And they talking about these dudes. Some of these chicks were starting to drag some of these dudes. But at the end of the day, this is who they're supporting. But then when you come out here and say, hey, I'm live, you're not getting that support. So, and what I'm saying is that leaves you in danger for a lot of things. All right. You in danger on a lot of things. Black male misandry. I was having a conversation on the Brain Trust the other day. And, we were talking about that. Black male misandry, how the women are down with you. What bothers me more than anything else is seeing brothers who sign on to that as well. Because it puts us all in danger. At the end of the day, a lot of cats don't really want to deal with this because it's hard to deal with, but this ultimately is life and death. And a lot of people don't understand that until it rolls up on you. But that's how that is. You don't get support. You up in there running around thinking this babe got you down, and then somebody rolls up and tears you out the frame. Oh well, too bad. I'm so bad it happened to him. And then they off. All right. I was listening to Dr. Tia San Johnson and Tommy Curry the other day. They were talking about how with black males and this black male misandry and all that, you got all these groups raising money, getting funding based on what's happening to black men. And then when they get, hold on. I'm getting ready to cook. Now all of a sudden, they get all this bread, they get this money, and then now when it comes to your black male issues, this is for minorities. Yeah, this is minority. Who are the minorities up in here? You talking about minorities? What minorities you talking about? And at the end of the day, with these black, we don't really need y'all in the organization like this. They raising money on your ass, getting funding, but then when it comes to move towards what your real needs are, you ass out. You're at the bottom of the deck. You're at the bottom of the deck. This is a game that's been going on for a long time. This is how you're being played and perceived in this society and culture. And these are supposed to be people who are supposed to be down with you. Think about those, how bad it is for those who are not down with you. And that's why when I say you really got to get your mind right. It's a bitch. My father used to always say it's a tough titty to suck. Why? Because at the end of the day, when you start to really realize what's going on, you got to be strong. Because when you start finding out that you...
Whoa, Nagoon, we lost you for a second.
Yeah, I hope we
decided to cut it off.
There you go.
Yeah, if you can hear me. Yeah, I'm just saying, you finish if you jump out here and you're not thinking right. This game is designed to eliminate you. People are out here to use you and get over on you. That's why we got to be thinking. That's why these conversations matter. They matter. They matter quite a bit. When you call this, you got a lot of these other brothers who are signing on in the Miss Angie piece, will not sit here and critique this black female because they caught into the game. I understand the game they caught into. Making money with them, doing this, chilling out. You can't critique. You can't critique those when you in their pocket. No, you can't do it. You can't do it. In fact, they're going to go against you in order to do that. That's the game we're in. Brothers have to really realize what's going on. That's why when I would always say, get your mind right. This is not a game. At the end of the day, this shit is life and death. You don't have friends out here like that. This female has showed you, you're supposed to be a woman. She's not feeling you like that. She'd rather deal with with the Madden King, with his shit on, or on the couch, no dough, and she bringing food home to him and all that, and she got a dick on, she got a dick in control, and could sit there and do this is what she likes. She likes that. She'd rather have that than have to really contend with a brother whose mind is sharp, out here doing the right shit, kicking it, and then critiquing her and having standards and critiquing her fucked up ways. All right, critiquing how she's raising this boy. Well, these niggas ain't shit. You raised them. What are you talking about? This nigga ain't shit. You raising these niggas. They coming from between your motherfucking legs. And you talking all this shit. What y'all talking about? What y'all talking about? But the good brothers out here who with standards, they got smoke for them. Y'all have to look at this thing with a very keen eye. Don't miss it. And these Negroes who are backing it up, don't miss them as well.
Wow. Speaking of that, Nagone, I'm about to show you something real quick. I was going to do some content on this, but I ain't going to touch it because the last time I did some content on this, they took the video down, but that's because I played like the whole damn video. Only about to play 30 seconds.
Hold on, Bernard.
Check this out.
You feeling me? You feeling me on that?
No, I feel you. I feel you completely. And I do want to say before I roll this footage, that get your mind right, that you talk about. Not that part of it. The keep your overhead low. Man, I'm the living embodiment of that. I'm up in here. I don't got a house note or a car note right now. My overhead is extremely low. So I'm able to do all kind of shit that I wouldn't be able to do. I'm able to make moves and take chances I wouldn't be able to take if I had to worry about paying $1,200, $1,500 a month for a mortgage, paying a $500 car note plus the car insurance. We talking, people be at like damn near over $2,000 just on house note and car note. And I understand some people got to live like that, but when you can get rid of that expense, like, man, you get that overhead low, you in the driver's seat. So that's
that overhead low keeps cash in your pocket.
Man,
and let me tell you, there are opportunities because in chaos and in fucked up situations, there's opportunity. Don't forget it.
Yeah, the business I'm running, I wouldn't have been able to take the. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, for the few brothers who've listened and they've been able to stack a little bit, there's opportunities in the stock market that you can't believe. There's going to be opportunities in this real estate game that some of y'all are not going to believe. Because as this thing continues to wind itself out, it's going to tear a lot of shit out the frame. So there's going to be opportunities that y'all ain't going to believe. Shit that some of you cats didn't think you could get into, now it's going to be open to you.
Yeah.
See, that's the game out here. That's getting your mind right. Get your shit right out here because there's opportunities, all right? And brothers, that big booty sister now smiling in your grill who was cutting your nutsacks out fucking 2-3 years ago, drop that like a fresh hot yam coming out the oven. Drop that motherfucker. Keep it moving. All right? Keep it moving. Be focused. All right? Roll with those who are rolling with you. All right? This is key in life and death, whether you understand this or not. Anyway, go ahead, man. Yeah, y'all got it.
Well, first, Fast Attack Tough. Thank you for the super chat. He says Nagone plus SKC equals stand in it. Now, what I want to play here, because you was talking about CJ King and how they giving him hell. I just want you to look at this quick reaction. The third one, Selena Johnson. I want you to just watch how this is her first time hearing the story. She don't know nothing about it. So this is just a raw reaction. of just her hearing the story for the very first time. Now check it out. It's only about 30 seconds.
Did y'all hear about this law school graduate? He received a lot of backlash after declaring himself a prize that Black women should compete for. He said Black women typically don't date down and prefer a man that's on the same playing field or higher. Is he right? Should Black women be out here competing for his love?
Wait, is he Black or white?
He's Black.
Oh, well, yeah.
Did y'all see that shit?
I know, that's what I was gonna say. We already compete.
Did y'all see that
nice,
shit?
that's generous, and all of that. You ain't
I don't
the
know
only
if I
one
zoomed.
peeping
Damn,
him.
I'm
You
trying
ain't
to
the
pause
only
it
one.
now. All right, yeah, I was trying to pause it now. And damn, I don't even have her big ass head zoomed in there like that. Let me get rid of this before they take my shit down again. But just her reaction to her hearing about a man saying he's the prize, he graduated law school, he's this, he's that, he's the prize. Why do it matter if he's Black or white? I mean, if she would have said, "Oh, he's white," she would have been like, "Okay, he is the prize." But since he's Black, she's basically waving a hand like, "Oh, fuck him." What the hell?
Okay. You got these niggas. That's your queen. I knew you going after that bitch. You motherfuckers are gonna put that next to you and count, and you're gonna count on that to cover you through what you're trying to build. You gonna build with that, thinking about you that way? Let me tell you something, family. You better think twice about that. I've been through this game. You've seen enough moons pass over on a nightly basis like I have. You will see people like this you cannot build with. They're not feeling you like that. They don't respect you that way. Deep down inside, deep down, even if they try to cover it, at the very heart of it is a certain level of disrespect and disregard they have for you.
Now think about this, Nagone.
That's where you're at. And I know a lot of cats don't want to deal with that. We've been calling this shit out for years, and we keep seeing the same thing. Get your minds right out here. This game ain't going to change. You think it's going to change? It will not. The devil don't change. The devil changes.
Now you have four women.
You gotta understand that. I'm bringing it hard. Man, I'll be 60 fucking years old. I ain't got time for this. Neither do you. You 30-year-old cats out here running around thinking you slugging on these hoes. You motherfuckers better be getting your money right. You better be getting your career right. You better get the big time protection game on you. Because if you about anything and you're gonna leave your hands in the hands of this motherfucker, you finish. That's why the community looks the way it does. Anyway, go ahead.
Now I was just saying that Bernard showed these four women that they've made money in media. They for all intent purposes, they're kind of like at the higher echelon of Black women, and they've had careers where they've been well known, and yet here they are downgrading a young man, a young Black man who could be their son before the world.
Yeah, but and peace. What's going on, brother?
Yeah,
brother Bernard.
Welcome back. Go ahead.
I just want to say one thing. I just want to say one thing before the most esteemed fucking brother X comes out here and kicks them fucking ballistics. You just dropped a critical piece right there. And some of them have their sons. Think about how their sons are treated in those situations, in this overall family situation. You think about that. Think about that.
Let me get one
Absolutely.
thing before you come in, X, and I'll pass it over to you. Nagone, before he mentioned Tiosan Johnson, and then he talked about how at all of these rallies, like the Ahmaud Arbery and stuff and so forth, how you'll have these different groups that will be there, and these groups are making money while they're there. Don't get it, twisted in some way or whatnot. Like they're just there for good measure or whatnot, or to help the community. They're making money as it goes, and when people see these groups there, they associate that with Black people, togetherness, and all this other stuff. But as we began at the beginning of this discussion, when I was sharing the whole thing about this split between these radical Black feminist groups and Black nationalism that occurred back in the 60s and 70s, and the introduction of intersectionality and the breakup of families and so forth. Well, those groups there, like Tia Son Johnson was saying, they get funding, but the Black male bodies that that are dropping have nothing to do with what they are using that money towards at all. And the proof is in the pudding in that you've seen these groups circling kind of like buzzards around Black male dead bodies, but we keep seeing it happening over and over and over and over. What has been actually put in place by those groups to either help young Black men to understand or to help them in any kind of way? No, you see all sorts of things. Let's put this money together for the mother. And then if you go and research, you'll see that a lot of that money goes towards administration for these different groups. It goes towards their ABC community stuff and all this other stuff that has nothing to do with young Black men at all.
But they're raising that money based on you being on Black men. This is a Black man's cause. This Black man got this. Black man got fucked up. Let's raise this money. And then when they get that money and they get these grants from the government as well, none of that money goes towards anything that concerns Black men. And you're being used, and you've been used like this for decades. And we got to call us out. It's time for that shit to stop. This is part of the misandry piece. Don't miss this shit, people. Don't keep your eyes open. Don't miss this.
Right on. Go ahead, brother X. You got the mic.
What's good? First, as far as the
four, let me read David Johnson super chat real quick. Sorry to interrupt you. Want to read the super chat. Thank you for the $10 super chat, David Johnson. He says Nagon is 1,000% correct. 100. Everybody else on the planet benefits from the backs and plight of Black men through policies that are allegedly supposed to be for us. It's all misdirection at our expense. Thank you, David Johnson, for your comment, brother X. Now you officially have the mic. Go ahead.
Yeah, as far as the 4 crows that you just showed, did y'all notice that when they started talking, when the first chick started talking about a man being the prize, notice how them hoes waited to see if he was Black or white. Now, I could have kind of respected it if she'd have just threw her hand soon as she started talking, because she was thinking about all men. The bitch actually waited to see if he was Black or white before she threw her hand. But anyway,
that was wild.
What you brothers got to understand is this, man. Any of you brothers out there who think Black women in the collective, in the aggregate, give a fuck about you, you are fucking insane. All right. To piggyback off of what Brother Nagon and what Brother Supreme,
say that one more again. Say that again.
If you think Black women in the collective give a fuck about you, you're insane. And I want to piggyback off of what.
One more again. No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
One more game for the people in the bleacher seats, man.
One more game.
If you think that Black hoes in the collective, in the aggregate, give a fuck about you as a Black man, you are totally insane. And I'm going to tell you why, right? Like I said, to piggyback off of what Brother Nagon and what Brother Supreme was saying. Now, when Black men fall dead, right, somebody usually gets a windfall, whether it be his mama, whether it be some goddamn organization that claims to look out for Black men and all this kind of shit. And what I ask is, where are all these people who give a fuck about these young Black men before he's fucking laying in the street with his brains blown out? Where are all these people who give a shit about these young boys way before they're beat up by a cop, way before they're shot by some vigilante, way before they're out there in the streets killing each other? Now, once one of them is dead, they see that as a come up. Every time a black man dies in the street, it's a come up for somebody. His mama, the ratchet bitch he got kids by, whoever. And it's not due to life insurance or, some stocks he had hidden on the low. No, it's usually some GoFundMe hustle type shit. You see those GoFundMes where they put it up for 20,000, and give you this long soliloquy underneath it, and they fuck around and raise that 20,000 in about 2 days. The next time you look at it, it's been raised up to 200,000. It's just a hustle, man. It's a hustle, and they're hustling at black men's fucking expense, man. They don't give a shit about you long as you walking around, man, and breathing. But you fuck around and get shot in the head and be laying in the street. Now everybody wants to march for you. Everybody wants to put you on a t-shirt. Everybody wants to wear the fitted cap with your picture on it. And everybody wants to make a hashtag out of your name, your nickname, what you was doing, where you lived, and all that kind of shit. But in reality, man, they didn't care. They don't care. Because the only time a black man is worth anything to these black holes is when he has died. You ever seen it? You ever seen any of these brothers' faces on anybody's shirt while they were still alive? Think about that.
Man, they want to. They get a lot of benefit from what my father used to call back in the old days, nigger tragedy money. Nigger tragedy money. And that was if you were on the job and let's say you fell in the vat of, you was in the smelting plant, you fell in the vat of molten iron, or you was on the rail yard and the train came by, and the rail came by and rolled you over and killed you or something else like that. You get a little nigga tragedy money and they send you on your way. That's ultimately what these guys are getting, but they're getting grants and everything and building their organizations on you, and you get nothing. At the end of the day, this is how they bring in, and then they bring in others in. And then when you try to get deeply involved in their organizations, you get lit up. Or even with the BLM movement. Look at all them brothers that were rolling heavily with it and just died behind the scenes. Got lit up. A lot of brothers got lit up behind that. Nobody said anything. They was quiet. They was quiet about that. And BLM itself, the brothers who were out front on this, many of them died. A few of them got smoked. And nobody's saying shit, and we know about this.
Yeah.
So all this goes on, and they collect money on that. They make money on this, and what do you get for it? Like the Jews say, bupkis. You get bupkis for this. I mean,
Brother Nagone, you know that BLM is a goddamn case study in how money is made, organizations are started in the name of dead black men.
That was the thing.
Go to their goddamn website. Not one thing up there that's going to benefit any black man anywhere, anytime, anywhere, on any occasion.
You ain't said nothing. You ain't said nothing but the word. And see, you got Dr. Tommy Curry, Dr. T. Hassan, and their esteemed crew going in on this shit on their last joint. And I'm sitting there looking at that, and I'm like, look at these dudes going in on the very smart brothers, which is defunct now. They've been sold out, but they've been sold. But here they were, saying how they were in there doing the same shit, and shit ain't going back to brothers. And that's why I'm saying you got to look at some of this misandry we have amongst brothers. We got to watch that. We got to call that out as well. Because at the end of the day, it's just as dangerous, and we got brothers in here who are fully ensconced in this, and playing it. Nah, man, this ain't the game we playing, and we gonna call you out as well. And at the end of the day, we already know how these sisters are feeling. It's a sad thing. It's terrible, and I know a lot of brothers want to push and say I'm down with this sister, blah, blah, blah. And they think you keep pushing to get her love, man. She ain't feeling you like that. She never is. She's been trained not to be down with you like that, fam.
Yeah, well, they always gonna try to protect the old mama, man. You already know that, man. They're gonna try to protect the old mama no matter what.
And in the community, they're not raising. They're supposed to be the most educated, and Junior can't read. These kind of things. None of this makes sense. But when you put it into the calculus, of how they truly feel about you. Okay, and I'm not talking about every single sister, so let's not put every single black female in this. But we're talking about a very large part of the collective. When you start to put how they truly feel about you into that calculus, then it starts to make a lot more sense. Then it starts to make sense. And all these brothers fighting against the machine, going against other brothers in favor of that. At some point in time, they're gonna get bit as well. And that's where you're at with this. So when I say get your mind right, that shit it's a work in progress, and it's not easy because some of the shit's a tough titty to suck. It is.
Yeah, well,
Tough titty
don't
to
you
suck.
don't you brothers, you have to understand, man. And I'm an older fella, you know, I'm an old Gen Xer. I'm up there with Brother Nagone, okay?
Sure enough.
Don't you brothers, you have to understand, man, that when they talk about the quote unquote community, you're not included in that shit. They're not talking about you. They're not. They are not talking about you when they talk about the freaking community, man. You are not included. You're on the outside of that. Let us extract from you whatever we can extract for the benefit of said community. But don't you dare think you're a part of this shit, because you are not. You will never be. You only become part of the community after you're laying in the street with a couple police bullets in your head. Because see, now they don't really have to deal with you. They can kind of just put your name up there, you know, make a few $100,000 and put your face on a t-shirt. That's
Well,
the only time. That's the only time they want you to be part of the community, man.
Well, mama got to make sure before that happens, she got to make sure that she got a respectable picture of you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Before your day come though.
Oh yeah, she gonna have one of those now. She got one of those.
Oh
for you.
damn,
You know,
SKC. hey, hold on, man. That was a little subject of debate on my show as with the Ahmad Aubrey. Why they have to, you know, go back to his high school graduation, and he's been out of high school for 7 years. They had to go back to high school graduation to get a picture of him. I was like, no, come on now, let's not.
And while I mean, it's weird, man. You know that you get these respectable pictures. You know that you, as long as you have one that covers your whole life, you're good.
Yeah, I'm sure he had one clean, well-groomed picture post high school.
Yeah, because
but anyway, hold on.
These hoes know they raise these niggas not to be worth a damn, man. They know it. They know it.
And then there's another thing too. They bitch about the same Negroes they chasing.
Yep.
A very famous one.
And the same ones that they mama created.
Let me finish. There's a very famous one up in here. Be running around the sphere in black YouTube, calling guys all kind of beta male coons and all this and all that, and saying how you ain't this and that. She ain't got no compassion for you, none of this kind of thing. You hear these sisters, and they all and there's a whole tribe of sisters who roll with that. But at the end of the day, look at what these people are running with. At the end of the day, look who they hooking up with. Same niggas they complaining about. So I'm saying you gotta look at them sideways as well. Not that they're talking truth. This is what they're into. They like this how would I call this dysfunction? They like it. They like it like this because it keeps them in a certain level of control. They like the chaotic way things are. They don't want to change. So that's why when you out here making changes, you making moves, they got smoke for you because you got standards, right? You're going to hold them to a certain level of standards, all right? You're playing your game a certain way where you in control of your shit. This is not what they want. This is not what they want. They don't want it like that. They want it nice and chaotic and crazy and keeping sucker-laid Negroes running around them. And the butter-laid cats, they got smoke for them. They like it this way. Don't miss that. Don't miss it. This is the game. Don't miss that. Get your mind right. Everything I'm saying right here is 100% verifiable. And you can see it every day. Every day. Yesterday. Today. Tomorrow. You see the same shit. That's the game you're in. You got to understand that. Okay? This is it, man. This is it, fam. There is no more debate. This is where you're at. Now, either you step to the fucking plate and make your moves, or lay up underneath them, and see what that's gonna get for you. That's what time it is. Sorry. I wish I had something more to say, but I don't.
SKC, you wanted to screen share this. Go ahead and set it up.
Yeah,
You
I set it up. Over this past week, let me give a shout out to Uncle David Carroll. He did his Mother's Day thing like he normally does. But during that, man, I was looking online for some stuff and I came across this in my recommendations. I was like, what the hell is this? Now, this is unlisted. It ain't up no more, but I got the whole clip for the whole show. And it was like the whole, Mother's Day thing or whatever celebration going on or whatnot. And for all of the people that say that there is no black gynocracy and they don't have no programming and all the other stuff that's going on, that's a whole bunch of crap. Okay, well, listen to this clip.
But if you want to go deep, gotta dig 6 feet. Even coal miners got a plan. You gotta dig like a woman, but act harder than a man. Show love like a woman, but take advantage like a man. Sacrifice like a woman, but tell lies like a man. Yeah, if you wanna make America
Okay, so
hold on.
Who didn't get the words that were said in those lyrics? It was, you have to think like a woman, but act harder than a man. Show love like a woman, but take advantage like a man. Sacrifice like a woman, but tell lies like a man. If you want to make America great again. Now that's shown.
God damn.
That's shown on as a Mother's Day special before kids and their children and mothers and children in the black community on Fox Soul during Mother's Day.
With them compromised fucking tap dancing and a top hat monkey suit niggas behind her singing that shit with her.
When I say that's that is in fact pernicious. That's pernicious and deleterious to everything that you are. That in an indirect way helps to get you killed. You see, what I'm talking about is this is not a game that we're looking at. This is not a game. You're a man. Your ass is on the line, whether you understand that or not. Even these black men who run around here and think that they can run up and shine the ass of the white man and think he's safe. You're not. This is designed, and you've got your own females against you. That makes you very expendable. She's expendable, you even more. You have to put this into what one would look at if they were in some level of a societal or social conflict or in somewhat of a war, of which we are in. You have to look at that. If they control the narrative and they shape you, you're not shaping your image, they're shaping your image. They're shaping your image to be ultimately, at the end of the day, demeaned, your life lessened. You're looked upon as somebody who's less valuable. That puts you in danger. That is a danger to your life. And if people who are not making this connection, you have to start to think in these terms. That's why I say every brother who's out here who's smart, a few books you should read. And one of them is Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Now, not Sun Tzu, The Art of War is you're going to war or you're looking to go, but you are in a high conflict situation where your ass is on the line every day in the boardroom, in the street, everywhere. And you have to understand how people think and how people are thinking around you, and what are their intentions for you. What are their intentions for you? You have to understand this. When you listen to some poisonous shit like this is designed to take you out. Whether you understand that or not is another question. Getting your mind right is not a very easy thing. Sometimes it's going to make you think very harshly, very harsh. That's very dangerous right there. That's pernicious. That is.
and that out of that whole, it's like 2 hours worth of stuff, man. I'll put it in my videos and joke, but that's just the tip of the iceberg of some of the doggone programming that they was putting in there of just bow down to mama. Mamas are always right. The woman must be sacrificed for. She's in the men.
And
That was
look at the state of your community. Look at the state of your community underneath her specious control. Look at it.
Yep.
And that's why when you say the chaos is there, they like it like that.
These people are content.
Yeah. No,
these people are content with the status quo, man. They're content with it.
No. They're not content with it. They like it like that. They're not content. They like it like that. They want it like that. I was watching something on Ted Bundy. I was watching some shit on Ted Bundy the other day. Ted Bundy, he's a big killer. Well, who's porn that made me do it? But at the end of the day, he ended up admitting, I like killing all these women. This is what I like doing. He liked it. He wasn't doing it because he had some sick demonic compulsion. He fucking enjoyed it. He was a predator. And what he did was he enjoyed killing women. This is what he liked. He got his shit off by doing this. And fucked them after they were dead. Necrophilia. This is what he enjoyed. The sickest shit out here. Now you have to understand they're different levels. Why do I bring that up? Because I bring that up in the sense that you're going to sit here and try to give some of these females an excuse for what's going on. No, my man. Some of these people are very hot. They're very psychopathic, or very much this way. They've bred this in the society. This is a big part of our society. Okay, sociopathy, sociopath. All right. Okay, psychotic activity. This is a part of what goes on here in our community. These women are very much this way. They like it this way. They're not content. They like it. They want it.
More.
And I know a lot of you guys don't want to deal with that, but that's exactly what you're dealing with. And here we are in a community running around where our children are eaten. Eat our young.
Yep. Well, you're right.
This is something
you're right.
Like they're not.
You're right.
They like.
You're right. You're right, brother Nagone. Because I've often said that a lot of these dudes, and we all know, the dudes that they complain about, these are the same dudes they're raising. It's the same dudes that mammy's raised and their grandmammy's raised, right? So you have these dudes who are indoctrinated with this bullshit. And something I often say, man, like the shit that your old mammy do, if you get out there and you emulate her, emulate how you act and do shit the way she does it, she'll get away with that shit. You'll end up killed. Do you brothers understand that? If you go about things the way your old mama goes about things, your ass will end up dead. And she'll be fucking having a GoFundMe and make $500,000 because of it.
Some of these bitches get off and seeing you getting killed. They get off and get off. It's like the old Mandingo fighters back during the slave days, where they took two big hand brothers and they would fight slave fighters, and they fight in crowds, and the owners would make money on who the Mandingo winner was. And guess who was sitting right to his side, high on the left, not on the right, but on the left? His mammy, he was fucking sitting there watching that and getting down with that as well. She's been bred into you. So they like that. That Mandingo fighting game ain't died. That shit ain't going nowhere. That shit's in the cities, man, with guys and poppers. Like, go kill that nigga over there. Go kill it. This is what they do. They like it.
I tell you what. I tell you what.
They like a lot of this.
If people,
that's why a lot of brothers are running. That's why a lot of brothers are running for the fucking hills when they realize this, and it kicks in them in their mind. They go, "Oh shit, this is what I meant." A lot of brothers they break for the fucking hills when they come to that realization. They ain't fucking with it like that. in there, right?
Truth Seeker, thank you for that super chat. It says excellent panel and topic. Respect to you, brothers. SKC, you got something else you're sharing? There you go. You got the floor. Go ahead.
This is, I think, what the goal is talking about a little bit, and also X. Let's see this.
Always going to have faith and continue to be the best son that I can be for you. Black Queen, Black Woman, my crazy mama.
I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. And I know some people, it's gonna bother some people, but I don't give a shit because I don't work for none of y'all. Those of you who move in primarily black circles, right? And you've known some people who have gotten killed or died or whatever the case may be. See how everyone handles it. Notice how when a black woman is killed or dies, it is a tragedy. But when you get killed or die, it's destiny. It was your destiny. Think about that. Now I know y'all probably don't remember, but you're gonna after this stream, think about what I just said. When a black woman is killed or dies, it's a tragedy. When your ass get killed or die, it's destiny. I'm not talking about the public face. I'm not talking about the marching and the signs and the hashtags and, you know, all the Twitter pages made for it. I'm talking about when you're home, when you're on the block, after the marching is over and the streets are cleared and it's just a bunch of motherfuckers that know everybody. Pay attention to that. Watch that.
Oh my God. Brother X, you my ever tell you my dog. You my dog. Listen, what he just said is so highly ridiculously true. I can give you a really strong example. We see many of them. But I'm gonna give somewhat of a public example. Y'all remember that young girl, which was a tremendous tragedy. Young girl, Kanika Jenkins. I don't know. You guys might remember her. She walked into a refrigerator and died. She was 19.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were partying in the hotel. They were partying in the
hotel. Friends didn't look out for her. She was high as a kite. Was probably, you know, on some Molly or some other shit. Who the fuck knows? But she was on some ill shit. And then apparently she must have got overheated. She saw a refrigerator, got walked in there, thought she was gonna cool off for a second, didn't see the inside panel the inside latch that they make in these refrigerators now, so you can actually get out of it. But she didn't know, and she suffocated in there and died. Terrible. That must have been a terrible death. She had bruises on her and stuff. Which apparently she was banging them, trying to get her way out. Nobody heard her, and that must have been a terrible way to go. That was a terrible way to go. Very tragic. And they had huge, you know, there was a huge outpouring of sadness for her because she had passed and she was 19. I totally agreed with that. That's a tragedy. I wouldn't wish that on my enemy. I would say that I wouldn't wish that on them either. Or my enemy. I don't have enemies like that. But I wouldn't wish that on them. Anyway, then there's his brother, Bakari Henderson, who was in Greece. Brother, he was, you know, educated guy, college educated, business executive, all of that, and this was within a few weeks, I believe, of the Kanika Jenkins demise. Anyway, he was in Greece hanging out with a crew. He was with some white dudes and all that, and then he ended up, you know, one of his friends had gotten to an argument with somebody, but you know, he was kind of defending them. But yet he was taking some pictures with a white waitress in one of the shops, and some of these crazy Serbians who were over there were hating, and they got mad at this brother. And he came out. One of his boys said something. He kind of protected him, and they ran up on this brother. Ultimately, it's 15-1. He ran. He got killed. He got killed over there. They killed him over there. And the sisters started to laugh at him. Yeah, he deserved it. He was running with some white women. He was this, that, and the third. They went in on him.
I remember they was talking shit about that right here on YouTube. The usual suspect.
They were talking mad shit. In fact, when I ran up in there on one of their live streams, okay, I didn't know if anybody knew me. I was like, yo, y'all talking this shit, but freaking Bakari, you know, he gets torn out the frame, but y'all talking about Kanika Jenkins. Shut up, Nagone. Get out of here, Nagone. I'm like, oh, y'all showing me love like that, huh? So at the end of the day, they were going ham on how this brother was, and these sisters was like, shut the fuck up. Talking to me. And half of these girls, I got fucking shoes older than them, and they talking shit like that. So I sat there and said, look at this pure fucking unadulterated poison. And then, of course, we came to the, of course, we saw what happened with Kobe and his daughter and just the pure demonic nature of what we saw coming out of there. And you got Brother SKC here on here. Brother SKC, they want you dead. They want me they want to see you die spitting blood.
Yeah, they want Brother Supreme head on a stake in front of the town square.
Screaming and spitting blood. And they'll be happy. Yeah, that's where you are in this game, believe me. And it's no longer now just about white women, because I see brothers making them trek to Africa and all this other kind of stuff. And, they see it, African women and all this. Now the African women is the new white blood. And so they chat about that. So what I'm saying is this female here wants you under her specious control. Keep your mouth shut. Stay as dysfunctional as possible. Or if anything, be a tremendous utility for if you have anything. Keep your mouth shut. Be a huge utility. And at the end of the day, shut the fuck up. Don't say nothing. And let me do what I do. Now I can run down south, suck a lay white boys with AIDS, and fuck them and have them fuck us by the fucking truckload. And y'all can't say nothing about that. But here's a brother here who getting his shit right or whatever, and we got smoke for him. But don't say nothing about me over here fucking this fucking skinny ass white boy who got AIDS, and I fucked him by the truckload. Some of these sisters here getting on your ass, they be down there getting bowed up by that motherfucker as well, getting fucked too. So I'm just saying, y'all have to look at this. I'm just saying this is it. There's really not a whole lot to talk about as far as I'm concerned with this anymore. You got to look at what the realities are. Your path is cut out for you. Your work is cut out for you. If you're not trying to get as butter laid as possible right now, there's something wrong with you. Because brother, you got nobody looking out for you. You better be looking out for yourself. Make your own luck. At the end of the day, there's opportunity out here that you guys may not see at this stage of the game. There's opportunity. You have to look at a lot of different things, and this game ultimately is yours. Because at the end of the day, these sisters, even as bad as many of them are, they're gonna have to still come back to you. That's the sad thing about this. They're gonna have to come back, and that's the terrible thing. And that's why I see a lot of these brothers running for the hills, and they're right, because at the end of the day, you're dealing in a situation that's very skewed, and it's not really so much in your favor, and your pickings are thin. And I just want you guys to get your minds right out here, and we got to continue to talk to each other. These conversations, they matter. They matter.
Yep. Well, you gotta look at people, man, who look at someone and see a person who possesses responsibility as a flaw. If you're a responsible person, you're responsible with your life and you're responsible with your destiny. These people see that shit as a flaw, man. That's a flaw, because you're a responsible person. Why you think these black hoes will walk up to you and be like, "Oh, you ain't got no kids? You 30, you ain't got no kids? You 40, you ain't got no kids?" As if that's a fucking bad thing. As if they would respect you more if you had 2 or 3 baby mamas out there. Like, I mean, people see responsibility as a flaw. There's something wrong with that, man.
Yeah.
Don't even worry about my thing is don't even worry about that anymore. Don't even concern yourself. I do some mentoring over at the Black Brain Trust, and I've got a couple of guys I've been rapping with, and I got this one brother. He's doing his trucking thing, and he is doing his Python programming certifications and all that. And he hasn't missed the beat. He was off the mark last year because he said he was doing it and he couldn't get it done. But once I linked up with him, he thanked me. Said, something going on, I wouldn't have gotten through this if you didn't help. If you weren't here helping me to get right on this, help him get his mind right. Made sure that we did a daily planner. We made sure that 2 hours a day you were going to be on this. I called him. Every Tuesday we would go through what he went for the week. You would at least have to have at least 10 hours of this stuff done during the week in order to get to the level that we want to be. So by the end of May, we said by May 30th, you should have your certification. He's already gotten it already. Now, before when he was on his own, his mother was sitting there telling him, "Oh, that's okay, honey. You working? You know how to. You can't get it done right now." Not to say his mother was bad or anything else like that. I'm not trying to necessarily imply that, but his mom was like, "Hey, listen, you know, you all right? You working? Don't worry about it. You get it done." When he got with me, it was like, "Fuck that. We're gonna get this thing done by the 30th of May, and this is how we're gonna do it. And we're gonna put ourselves on at least a 90-day plan, and we're gonna have every day of the week. We're gonna make sure Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you got 2 hours in every day, and you ain't gonna miss it. So Lagon gonna be here making sure you're on top of that, and we're gonna make sure you hit it. And I'll be goddamn if he didn't." So that's where we gotta be putting our minds at this stage of the game. You think about these women; they finish 90% of these people. They highly finish. And if you think you're gonna run with him and get butter laid with him, you are out of your mind. All right. So in order to get into your mind and get it right, you got to really get on your perfection game. And when we talk about self-improvement, you're not to self-improve and then go back to this fucking sucker lady and expect something good to come out of it. My homemates always say you can't make chicken soup out of chicken shit. And that's the bottom line. You can't do it. So you got to roll with what's like you. And that's where we got to start to put our emphasis. Start to look and start to put your time and efforts into somewhat that you're looking to develop. If you're looking for a career change, looking for something big, you got to get butter laid. Got to get butter laid with it. Put your time in. Let's not waste it. All right. You know, and that's it. Somebody's at my front door. But anyway, let me go grab that. But that's what I got to say, fellas. And I'm getting ready to pump. Get out of here in a minute. So it's been awesome, Bernard. Thank you for inviting me on. The rest of you brothers, SKC,
Big bro, Nagon,
CPOT, and the rest of y'all. I came and had to drop a little hardcore old man fire on you, motherfuckers.
Brother Nagon, we gonna hang out, man. The next time I come to New York, brother, I'm gonna look you up, man. We're gonna grab a beer or something, man. Next time I'm up there.
Man. Let's do the do. All right, y'all.
Once this COVID shit's over.
Thanks for coming up, man.
All right, peace out for you.
All right. SKC, you got another screen share up. Go ahead and fire away. You got the mic.
No words, just watch.
It is that mother power.
What did she say?
Mother power. Now, I don't want to take too much out of this whole thing because there's key phrases that she says within her poem that's how she ends it or whatnot. But when I do I think it's like episode 3 or 4 of my video selection, man. The stuff that this lady says as a mother and a wife is it's ridiculous when it comes to young black boys. And look what she has right next to her, a young black boy.
Well, what did she say?
Well, I would just say this. All the things that we were talking about earlier, so far as the history of black male bashing and why young black men who grow up in, these times and who have grown up since then, why they look at black women as queens and can't do anything wrong and they so powerful and all this type of stuff. All of that is within her poem there with her son beating the drum.
How long was the poem?
About 3 minutes long.
Damn, how long was that total video?
Oh man, it's like 2 hours long, man. I got all sorts of 2
hours.
After I get done with it, man, it's like I want to pass this on to Obsidian because I know he's gonna have a field day.
Yeah, I'm scared to play that full 3 minutes.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. So I don't.
Yeah, so that
they might strike you.
Well, I never got a strike, but I did that one time where I played the whole video of the 4 washed up divas, as Obsidian calls them. They got me. They not with a strike. They just took the video down. I put it on my Patreon page and it's on Black Avenger. So if anybody want to watch me responding to one of the videos that they made, but yeah, Yeah, I ain't about to risk it because sometimes they just take the video down, but sometimes you could get a strike, and I ain't trying to play with that fire. There's some people who don't care. You could just play their stuff; they don't care. Like me and Obsidian, we done played a lot of Derek Jackson shit. He apparently don't care. You know. I guess he got the mindset of all publicity is good publicity. You can play his shit all the way through, but some people they come for your ass.
Yeah, man. So I think it's just weird that when you think about when was the first time that you heard that term bashing black women? When was that, Bernard?
Tommy Sotomayor, probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, well, they used to say it about rap music. Well, no, they didn't say. I don't know if they use the term bashing black women, but they I don't know. The first time I truly heard it, precisely said was Tommy Sotomayor when the people were responding to him.
Yeah, because I don't remember any time like when all of the the gangster rap and the booty shaking music back in the day with Uncle Luke and all that. I don't remember.
They were just saying it was misogynistic. That's it. They were just saying it was that they weren't specifically using. They weren't specifically saying that it was bashing black women. Mm-hmm. They didn't start saying that until like the Black Manosphere start talking about the history of bashing black men, and they try to say, "Oh yeah, but it was rap music did it." That it was
right. Because I don't remember the rank and file black woman back in the day being against that type of music.
You don't recall? You said you don't recall black women being against that type of music?
No, I mean, back in the day, I thought that they was cool with it and going to the club and doing their thing and girl, that's my song. Hey,
you remember?
Hey, it's all right.
Remember when Faith was on my show and she was talking about black men been bashing and been embarrassing themselves and black women, going all the way back to how they had been kicking dirt on black women through rap music. And I was like, well, no, she didn't even say rap music. I was like, so what you talking about? Like rap music? She's like, yeah, back then that's where it started. And I was like, yeah, but those rappers who was calling women bitches and hoes, I don't know if you noticed, but they didn't have a hard time getting bitches and hoes. And men that look like the rappers don't have a hard time getting bitches and hoes. So clearly it wasn't a problem. Clearly it wasn't a problem to the women and things that the rappers were saying. But she was using that as because she was trying to justify all the disdain, or because she said the lack of because she admitted that she said black women don't respect black men. She was like, we don't respect y'all. And then she tried to use rap music as the reason why they don't. But I'm like, no, that didn't stop that.
Okay, so I have a question for you, Bernard. It's more or less trying to...
Damn, did my mic go out for a second?
Yeah, it did. It seemed like it kind of fizzed for a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of leaning on my cord. I probably need a new cord.
You hard on your equipment, like, huh?
Yeah, I know. My cord, it's like a little shortage in it. If I bump it, the mic go out. But no, it's a little old. Well, not old. It's just real long and tangled up. So I don't know. But I don't know. I figured it out. But the point that I was making is, she was trying to use, when she was talking about the lack of respect that black women have for black men, she was trying to use rap music as the reference point as to why they initially stopped respecting black men. She tried to use that as the reference point. But my response was the rappers that were rapping about, bitches and hoes, they ain't had no problem getting bitches and hoes. Or guys that look like them. They had no problem getting the ladies. Black women have actually shown a preference for those type of guys. Some black women have shown a preference for those type of guys. So you can't use that as the starting point when that's the type of guy. You can't use that as a starting point for why I lost respect for black men when many of you have a stated preference for that type of dysfunctional male. That's the type of guy that a lot of y'all are with right now. A lot of y'all have a stated preference for. So like, no, you can't use rap music as your as your counter argument to where all this lack of respect came from. But anyway, that's the point.
So I have
That's
a
BS.
question. I have a question for you, Bernard, because I mean I wasn't like the club type of guy, whatnot, but my brother, my older brother, he was, and he used to tell me these stories about. He said, you know, how dare some women have this, these thoughts now talking about, oh man, you know, black men were disrespecting us back in the day with these songs and so forth. And he said, but you can go to clubs, you can go to all of these, beach parties and all of this stuff. And when the most ratchet and demeaning song will come on, that's when you will see all the women come out and, girl, that's my song, bent over, bouncing it up the side. So it's like,
yeah.
Did you see any of that?
Yes, absolutely. No question. The actual literal lyrics to a song it went, big booty bitch, you talk a lot of smack. Bend that ass over, let me hit it from the back. Like that was them was the actual lyrics. It got worse than that. Like it was...
Man, I find it hard to believe that many of these folks are not just comfortable within the dysfunction. I mean, they're comfortable within it. They seek it, they're attracted to it, they're drawn to it. That is their comfort zone. And I think for many of us as black people, I think that is the crux of a lot of our problems, because we can't step out of our comfort zone, because usually stepping out of our comfort zone means what? Stepping out of the fucking dysfunction. So a lot of us will never step out of it, man. We'll never step out of that comfort zone. We'll never step out of that dysfunction or that dysfunctional thinking. We'll always be attracted to it, drawn to it. We'll want it. We'll create it. If it doesn't exist, we'll create it. If there's no dysfunction available, we'll create some. Yeah, we'll create some. So,
but no, when you put that on the screen, I had to laugh, man, because that was the first thing that came in my mind. Big Game Orenthal James for the 99 and the 2000. You better play.
It was going on before that. Man, that shit was early 90s popping. It was still the same, man.
And I know X, he probably saw whenever that song doing the butt came on, you saw a whole bunch of women bent up.
Yeah. I used to DJ and shit, so you know I know all about that shit, man. I mean, it's always been like that. This shit isn't new, man. This shit is actually old. And people talk about, well, you know, we stopped respecting y'all, you know, when y'all stopped looking out for us and y'all start leaving. Bullshit. You know, when black women stop respecting black men, they stop respecting black men as a collective when they white daddy told them you don't have to respect black men to eke out a little minuscule goddamn living and have some Cheerios and shit for your little bastards inside your project apartment. That's when they stop respecting black men. They stop respecting black men when their white daddy told them they didn't have to anymore. You don't have to respect them anymore.
Larry Stone TV to kill me. He said that song was like catnip for black women. Now go doo-doo brown. Doo-doo brown. That's what I'm saying, man. It's like when you look at the history of this junk, man, good grief, man. And I've got this other clip that I'm showing later on the video series, Bernard. All these black women at these R. Kelly concerts and the stuff doing, man. The stuff they was doing. Good grief, man. I mean, the film tells all.
Damn.
But they're the main proponents of this whole thing, man. When you get killed, man, because guess what? I mean, I've been saying this all week, man. You know, you're nobody until a white person kills you. Who do you think stands behind that? Who do you think is always talking the most hotep shit? All right, the Black Power shit. And what they have is they have a bunch of brothers out here who have been indoctrinated by them and their old mammies, and they fall right in line with it. Like I said before, man, when you talk about the Black society, Black community, man, you as a Black man are not a part of it. The only way you're considered a part of it, if number one, you're a homosexual. Number two, if you're laying in the street with some white man's bullet in your head. Because guess what? Even if you get killed by a Black man, they don't shout you out. They don't shout you out when that happens. Yeah, they don't shout you out. So if you think you are a part of a collective with these folks, man, you're out of your damn mind. You just are. It's just the truth.
So I have a question for both of y'all, because both of y'all are fathers, man. Now, you see all of these songs that these dudes are listing in this chat. You know, yeah, twins, mystical, shake that ass, all this other stuff. Okay. And they giving their recounting of stuff that they saw. Now, as fathers, do you really believe that you as a father, if your little girl came up to you and said, "Hey, Dad, I want to go to the next 2 Live Crew concert when they come in town," that you were going to say yes?
Hell to the no.
Exactly.
I mean, so come on. You know they mamas let them go.
Exactly, man. I mean, come on. I mean, all you got to do is look at some of the shit. If you look on media, man, you look on Twitter and Instagram, Snapchat and Facebook and all this kind of bullshit, and you see these little girls, man, that's on there, 17 years old, 16 years old. You know, you got 12-year-olds with Facebook pages and Snapchat pages and all that shit. You actually think these girls actually live with a father? Is there a father that's fucking living there, letting this little 15-year-old girl be on fucking Facebook shaking her ass? Of course not, man. There's no fathers there. Cause see, that shit don't go down at Pappy house. That shit go down at old mammy house. Cause see, this girl is 15, mama's 29, and grandmama just reached 42. So you got a 45-year-old grandmama, you got a 30-year-old mama, and then you got a 15-year-old kid, and all those bitches wear the same clothes, they shop at the same stores, and probably fuck all the same guys. This is what we have, folks. This is what we have.
Damn, X. That was fucked up. You said the mama, the daughter, the mom, and the grandmama all wear the same clothes and shop at the same store. All wear the same clothes.
They don't shop
in the same guys.
But he's not lying though.
Oh man, that was horrible.
And it's a weird thing because like going back, because I gotta leave in a little bit, Bernard, but when you go back to like the beginning of what we were saying, the history of all of this, a lot of the complaints that the women on YouTube now within the Black community that they state, they never put into or consider openly that these are the type of men that their mothers raised. These are some of their brothers and cousins and such who are interacting with said community. So, and it's generations of this that has happened. So why are you not putting the onus on these, as X says, these old mamas that created these individuals?
Yeah. Good question. And the unanswered.
Well, you know why, man? Because in these women's minds, these old mammies, in their mind, they want to believe that they raised a good kid. They want to believe that they raised this solid man, that they raised this guy who's actually going to grow up and act like he has some goddamn sense. But it's all a lie. All she did was make a male fucking copy of herself. That's all she did. you think these brothers act like this because they had men in their life, they had male influence and all that kind of shit? Of course they didn't. They act just like they old mammy. These Negroes who run around here with 15, 20 baby mamas, but follow their family tree. I bet you their old mama got 6, 7, 8 baby daddies. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. All they did was make male versions of themselves. And of course, they created female versions of themselves. Absolutely. But they made male versions of themselves too. So you got this man who has the mind frame of his old mama. And he goes out, he tries to live his life according to the rules of his old mammy, and it doesn't work out because he can't get away with the shit that his old mama can get away with. He can't. He's a man. And a lot of these brothers don't figure that shit out until they're older. They don't figure it out until they're older, or they get the fuck away from her. You understand? You separate these, if you separate these young black men from their old mammies, they do better, man. They just do better. You separate them from the old mammy, the old ratchet grandmom, and the old good for nothing hold back aunts, and you take these young boys and you put them somewhere, get them away from these holes, they do better. They just do. That's just the truth, man. There's no denying it. You get them away from these holes, get them around black men, they actually grow, learn, and become something for the most part. You keep them with them hoes, they never amount to shit and end up dead, on drugs, in prison, or standing on the off ramp on the overpass with a goddamn sign talking about their work for food.
Now, Bernard, just honestly speaking, man, and I know that you're way more optimistic when it comes to
the community
and the whole thought of, and I understand your thought of wanting to see black men and black women get together and, you know, make it work. But in lieu of the evidence that has been shown, like, how hopeful are you for those things?
It's going to take a major cultural change, and how hopeful I am, I don't know. It depends on how much the needle got to move in order for, you know, hope to be validated. Damn, excuse me. So yeah, it depends on how much how far you looking for that needle to move. I mean, there's a few things that are hopeful. I know some people don't look at it like this, and I gotta look at the data on this. But I know some things are changing with the what are they called? The Gen Z, the Zillennials, or whatever the hell. Mm-hmm. Some things changing with them. I'm very glad that, you know, the whole teen pregnancy that's not really a thing no more coming from teenagers. It's not. So I mean, there are some things that make you say, but marriage rates tend to be declining. But so if the marriage rates declining, will those mythical cohabitating long-term relationships with children, will those work? Probably not. So I don't know. Well, I mean, I would like to see it do better. I would like to see it do better, but how hopeful I am, I don't know.
Brother Bernard, you know, the biggest rise of baby mamas are women over 30 now. Those are the ones. Those are the ones who are becoming the bigger contingent of baby mamas now. You know, the 30 and above. And see, this is the thing. I mean, you know me, I got a problem with these old mamas. All right, but what I think is, if a woman is 30, well, at least I'd like to think, if a woman is 30 when she becomes a baby mama, I would like to think that the child may be a little better off as opposed to if the baby mama is 13.
Now, that's
as opposed
a good
to
point.
30.
You know what? And maybe some data will come out on that. That maybe these, because that's what my brain tells me, that a 35-year-old single woman who, let's just hope that she's done something in those, nearly 18 years of adulthood to where she's in position, even if, there's no man in her life, which is a horrible thing to raise a child in that situation. But I think it is true that that parenting practices, whether it's the grandparents, the mother and the father, or just a mother by herself or a father by himself, good parental practices could show to be beneficial. I saw a study that showed that, but it just happens to be the case that typically when there's a situation where there's a single mother who was sexually reckless and got impregnated by a guy that was sexually reckless, if they're sexually irresponsible, tend to be irresponsible in other areas of their life. So thinking that they're just going to automatically, on the aggregate, do a good job, that's a tough sell. It's more than likely not going to happen. But you would think that, let's just say a woman is 35. She's come to the conclusion that, chances of getting married is getting slimmer. And before her eggs dry up, she wants to have a baby. And it's almost like a conscious decision to do it. You would think that the kid would be better off because the parent that's going to be there, that's going to mostly be there, is a parent that made a full conscious decision as a 35-year-old, fully functional adult who's hopefully in a situation now where she's able to fully functionally take care of herself and a child. You would think that it would be some data emerging showing that those kids born in that situation are doing better than the previous generation, where it was, women between the age of 17 and 21 just getting knocked up by some knucklehead. So you would think that data would improve with that. You would think that there would be some improvement in the data with, now that the teenage pregnancy rate has gone, almost extinct. So you would think it would be some improvement in parenting with that, and more families being planned, more parenthood being planned. No pun intended with that. You would think that. So you would think that some things would get better when you look at it like that. You would think. So I don't know. I'm hoping maybe some change. A needle will move slightly. I'm hoping.
Yeah, you would hope, especially if you had your first kid at 13 and now you're 30 and you're on kid number 9, I don't have much hope for you. Right. But if you're 30, 35 and you're having your first kid, you would like to think, I would hope, for the children's sake, that you are an adult, you have done some things with your life. Maybe you went to school, maybe you got a decent job, a decent place to stay, some money stacked up. Maybe the child will come into a better situation, I should say. The child could potentially come into a better situation, if you're 35 years old and you kind of got yourself established. You're still an old baby mama now. I don't think you're not still an old baby mama because you're 35. You're still a baby mama, but you would like to think that the child, at the very least, would come into a somewhat better environment, if that's her first kid and she's 35,
You know what I just, all this time I didn't even realize my sister, she didn't have kids until she was over 30, and she's not married. I didn't even realize that. And to speak to what I'm talking about, just one anecdotal situation, she's a great mother. She really is. And her kids are wonderful right now. She got a 10-year-old and she got some twins that are they 5 or 6? I think they're 6 now. Damn, time flies. But yeah, I mean, she's in a less than ideal circumstance. She's doing a good job because, I'm not going to speak into the whole situation with the relationships, the father and this or that or blah, 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 and what you got going on relationship wise now. I'm not even about to get into those dynamics, but overall, the, less than ideal situation, she's rolling up her sleeves, doing a good job, and she's being very responsible in the raising of her kids. So it's possible, but we can look at the data and the stats and see that it's not a good idea. It's possible but she's an example that somebody who's didn't start having kids until they were over 30 and, you know, a little more stable and stable minded can do a good job raising kids. So you would absolutely think that these women having kids in between 30 and 40, you would think they would be good mothers. You would think. That's just I'm going to be shocked if the data comes out that they actually doing a worse job overall as a collective. Like that would blow me away.
Wow. I wonder why the Crimson Cure says that the thought of having children now is horrifying. I wonder about that.
You wonder why she say the thought of having children is horrifying?
Now it's horrifying, yeah.
Because she's past a certain age where I understand a woman saying if I don't have kids by this age, it's a wrap.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah.
I thought she was talking about maybe environment or something like that. I was like, oh.
No. She said my cutoff point for trying to have children was late 30s. So once she got past late 30s, it was she pack it up, pack it in. I understand that.
Yeah. Oh man, that's interesting times, man. I like I said at the outset of everything, I didn't want to, talk on the history of black male bashing, like it was like trying to keep some type of scorecard or anything. I'm not trying to push off some thought that or an argument of, black men did this first or black women did this first, but I just wanted to, share some facts about different things that really goes unaccounted for in the conversation and why, how this relates to the black manosphere existing, because all these men talking about these things, this didn't come out of nowhere. And a lot of times it's presented as that, like, oh man, you got these evil black men and they just want to bash black women for no reason or because they want this white woman, so
Yeah.
or they hate themselves and all this other stuff. So
you just want some cave coochie.
Yeah.
Cave coochie.
I've heard some of the strangest things come out of this rabbit hole that I've never heard in real life. But man, it is amazing some of the things I've heard. Man, it's
yeah, it's some crazy shit, man. It's some crazy shit, but damn, I done got past 12 noon, and that's when I wanted to wrap things up. And so we gonna wrap this thing on up, fellas. It was a pleasure. I'd like to thank Nagone 11 who dropped in with us for a moment. Brother Xavier from the Prophet of Thought series, he came in. I appreciate that. And the man of the hour who laid out the history. And that's what I do want to say this before I go. I do look at this when we're talking about the history of it. See, I have the ability, a lot of people don't. I have the ability to put history where it belongs, in history. I just look at it as just, even when I'm looking at slavery and all that, some emotion can come out of it when you look into it. But at the end of the day, I look at it from purely if I'm watching a documentary or I'm reading something, it's purely academic. I'm not. I don't look at you see, because y'all did this, so therefore I'm gonna be mad about this today, 40 years later. Like, no, that ain't any argument or any discussion we having about black men and black women today. I can keep it today. I don't go back into the past and say, well, this happened, therefore I'm mad about this, even though I do understand that I do understand that after so many years of one side having a voice in the media, that when anybody can do media now. So yeah, it's a grassroots effort of black men making their own media, getting their own thoughts, ideas, and points and insights out there. But that's what I'm just looking at it as. I don't do a historical tit for tat. I get mad when I hear like Edward Anderson, shout out to him. He did that on my show. He went all the way back to slavery to make a point, and I was like, Ed, yeah, we don't got to go back there. We we right here, dog. He went all the way back to slavery, and I was like, nah. But so yeah, I ain't with that going back into the past to try to make a point or throw a jab at black women. But I do like this, just the good historical layout, just purely from an academic standpoint, and just studying the culture of how things were back then. Because like I talked about how during that, coming out of the 50s, going into the actually coming out of the 60s, going into the 70s, with the Black Power movement, how they cut the perm out, their hair grew afros, wore all black, and black is beautiful, and black pride and black power. And right in the midst of that was some black love, because we're talking about black people loving ourselves for who we are. So for that reason, so right in the midst of all that blackity black, we black y'all, black love, black power, black this, black that, the black female leaders in academia was writing a bunch of horrible shit in the midst of all that. So it is worth just breaking down just the history of all of that. And so that's it. I looked at this purely as an academic standpoint, not as a jab at this is why I don't like you black bitches. No, that's not what was going on here. Even though it did kind of turn in that when the goons start going ham. Going ham. But that wasn't the goal and intention of this. It was just more, that wasn't the goal and intention of the first historical part. After that, it was it was just sound off and sound bites and rants after that. But laying out the history, that I just wanted the history laid out, just purely academic, and that's where I was at with it.
But just two quick points before I leave out, Bernard. One, I just got to give a shout out to the old Tony Brown's journal, because that's where I got a lot of this information from. He had shows that focus basically on, was black feminism really helping black people? And he had people on that panel to talk about those situations. That was back in like 86. So I was able to find an archive of that. The other thing I wanted to just ask you is with the tell me I just didn't burn my question. With all of the history stuff, and you said that you could kind of look at it from an academic perspective and not try to bring it forth and use it as a grenade to throw at other people.
Yeah.
Why do you think that so many on both sides have this desire to look at things that happened in the past and then emotionally attach themselves to it as if it happened to them?
We ain't got over it. Tribalism, racism. I think if you listen to a lot of how a lot of black people talk, and I'm talking about black people who are socially accepted into the mainstream, as well as what we see on YouTube, the way that they think, how they think white people act, and how white people think, and how white people are out to get them, how they look at every single thing as even something like like when they banned abortion, like they're trying to, I guess they officially got rid of abortion in Alabama, but I think it's some more nuance to it and whatever. But they look at that whole thing. They don't look at that as Republicans have been trying for years to get rid of abortion, and they finally had the right people in place at the right time with the right people seated in the right chairs to get the vote in and get it done, and they got it done finally after trying for 40 years. No, black people look at that as, aha, they see their birth rate dropping, and they don't want us to take over, because they know if we out reproduce them, then they're going to lose. So that's why they think that Alabama got rid of trying to outlaw abortions in some convoluted way to not be taken over by black people. Like I heard somebody make that argument.
Good.
like they ain't thinking about y'all that much. They really not. Christian right, religious right conservatives have been fighting against abortion ever since abortion have been legal. Are y'all that shocked that they finally got one victory in this big ass fight, in this big ass war? They won one battle, and y'all think it's all about you. So and so I say all that to say that black people are like we're to the point where if let me explain it like this. If you listen to Jared Taylor and the stuff that he say about white people, he's considered a heretic. He's shunned by the media. If he he's out on the far fringe of white thought and how white people talk, how white people think. He's off on the far fringe. Okay, if you listen to him talk, and then you listen to your average Joe typical pro-black talk, it's really no different. It's seriously no. And when I say pro-black, I mean if you pick the average black person and have them lay out their thoughts, ideas, views, and how they think, I guarantee it's not that much different from how Jared Taylor thinks. So I'm saying that to say that black people are more racist, and if they were, if it was majority black people making the laws, unless it was like black people that got some we are the world, we are the children, ultra liberalism type stuff. Other than that, if it was mostly black people making the laws, they I mean, listen, they think that they oppress now, but the way that they would oppress white people if they could, I mean, I do believe that they would swing for the fences if they had the ability to oppress white people. And I say that as somebody who I don't believe that we're oppressed in this country. I think we're free in this country, and I think your fucked up choices ultimately, is the number one factor in your outcomes. So I'm saying all of that to say, and I haven't got away. I forgot what your original question was at this point. But the moral of the story that I'm trying to get at here is that what was your original question? I'm trying to circle it back to it.
Well, I was just asking, like, in this black, female, and male gender war.
Oh yeah, why do we keep going back to slavery? Yeah,
and then being emotionally attached to things that happened way before we was even born.
Yeah, that's because it's hard. It's hardcore cemented into us that our tribalism, our racism, and it's more deep rooted. It's more deep rooted with us. It is. I know it don't seem that way to a lot of people, but I believe it is. Like the amount of shit. Just sit around, just at regular average Joe black people, and just listen to them talk about white people and the shit that they say. It's like, damn. But yeah.
All right, man. I enjoyed it. I hope to come back as a support panelist one of these days, man. And let me get back to cracking on the finishing up of your stuff. And I hope you enjoy it when I send it to you, man.
All right, man. I appreciate that. I'll be waiting on that. Thanks, brother Xavier. Everybody, we up out of here.
I appreciate it, man. Peace.